Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the penultimate round of the DTM Esports 2022 season. My name is Luke Crane. I am joined by Connery Maddock. How you doing, bud? Yeah, I'm doing okay considering I've got COVID, but we're just going to battle through. My voice may be a bit croaky and whatnot, but bear with me. I'll try and do my absolute best here. Don't you worry about that. Connery, first thing I'm going to post you is balance of performance today. Every single car is pretty much as stock in the game, apart from the Ferrari with their 15 kilograms of ballast. Is that going to make a big difference here? Does that give the BMWs the upper hand this week?
It could be. I mean, we've seen the BMWs be so strong over the entirety of this season so far when it comes to those straight line speed sectors. So it's, when they don't have anything restricting them in terms of their performance, then they're going to be very, very tough to beat here, especially at this circuit where you have those big acceleration zones. You have ample time to get yourself up towards your top speed. So, yeah, the BMWs are going to be scary strong today. And, well, we'll have to see if that converts into actual results for them when it comes to this race.
So scary that Connery's adding S's to the word scary. Anyway, first of all, let's check out then the calendar for the season. Again, this is the penultimate round of the season with two races today, a sprint race and indeed a feature race or an endurance race, as they like to call it. We've already had Imola. We've already had the Norris Ring, Lausitz Ring. We've then got Spa-Francorchamps as well. And then we've got the Red Bull Ring happening today. And then we've got Portimao to finish things off, which is only next week. So there's literally 7 days between today and next week. Simple as that. 4 races to happen over the next 7 days. Let's check out today's format then as well, which half of the information on here is absolutely useless because it's already happened, but we'll check out what's happening for the rest of the stream. So free practice was 105 minutes ago that started. We've got stream start, which it's already started. Qualifying will then begin for race number 1 around about now, actually, very, very close to it anyway, which is going to be 10 minutes long. Then we have a sprint race, 15 minutes. No pit stops, nothing like that. It is literally a green flag. You race till the checkered flag and see who comes out on top. Then we've got qualifying 2, which is again another 10-minute session, and then an endurance race, which is a 60-minute race. Same cars, same balance of performance. Qualifying, of course, sorting out the grid, rolling start, but there is a mandatory pit stop where they have to change their tyres at a minimum, which will indeed start after 15 minutes and end with 15 minutes to go. So if they do not pit in that window, they will indeed be disqualified from the race. So there you go. That is how today will go. Let's head to check out today's standings as well. So this is how the championship is as it stands. Team Redline, one of the most famous teams in the world of sim racing. Kevin Siggy driving for them. He leads with 302 points, and he has been the dominant force. And when he's not been quite at the races, he's still managing to pick up 3rd and 4th positions. Whereas someone like Moritz Lerner, who is 2nd, 248 points, our current DTM champion, remember from 2020, he unfortunately, when it isn't going right, it does not go right until he's outside that top 10, hence why he's in P2. Today could be that day where he closes that lead, though, if Kevin Siggy isn't quite at it. Florian Hasser then is in 3rd spot with 179 points. We've then got Alessandra Ottaviani for R8G. He's on 168. We've got Team Vordzilla's Gianmarco Villucci. Then the 3rd of the Dirt Esports trio in the top 6 is Leonard Krippner. Then we've got Jack Keithley, who's always in and amongst it in a RaceRoom Esports Championship for Williams Esports. He's on 136. Then we've got Christopher Hergfeld on 130. Adam Pinches is on 104, and then 99 points for Axel Vermeulen. And you'll be looking at that thinking, oh, wow, hold on. The championship's pretty much between 2 drivers. The prize is for the top 5. So the top 5 here, Kevin Siggy, Moritz Lohner, Florian Hasser, Ottaviani, and Villucci, they are currently in that position. They all would get the prize. They would then get flown out to a DTM event this year, a sighting event, where they will be judged across multiple different challenges to see who is the best fit for our overall prize. The prize is a fully expenses paid season in the DTM trophy in real life racing. So they will get a car for the whole season. Connery, there's a lot to fight for here, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. You said it, the best way yourself. Even though Siggy has sort of technically run away with things at the moment, 50 points, if not more, between himself and Moritz Lohner. The battle is to break into that top 5. So expect Krippner, expect Keithley and Hergfeld to really get themselves stuck in, especially that latter driver after the whole situation that we had a couple of days ago in the ADAC Championship. That one's going to be still possibly weighing quite heavy on him with potentially, or not, we'll see, losing the championship in the way that he did. You want to go back and watch that stream because that was a whole bunch of fun. But stick around for this, though, because we got some fantastic races at the Red Bull Ring going. But yeah, yeah, those drivers in and around that top 5, looking to break themselves in, that's going to be perhaps where the main focus is for these final 2 rounds.
And Moritz Lerner has made it no secret that he wants to be a back-to-back DTM Esports champion. He currently races in the DTM Trophy as well. He's about to embark upon his 2nd season with FK Performance Motorsport, which will start for him in, well, I'm going to be there, and I don't know, it's about 6 weeks, I think, until we're there. Probably should figure that out, that's for sure. So yeah, he'll want to be guaranteeing himself another season, which will be fully paid for. That would be great for him. It saves him having to then guarantee that the team want him back, or, you know, maybe the sponsors aren't quite there, or something like that. We know how motorsport works. Anyway, we're at the Red Bull Ring today, and we've got a very special guest in Thomas Bienert, who is going to take us on a lap here and give us a track guide. He used to be indeed like the head commentator and did a lot of the marketing work with RaceRoom, now works for SXS Consultancy. Is that correct, Connery? I think that's right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, and so he's actually the lead voice that you will hear on the German broadcast if you are indeed German speaking, so you might want to head over there on YouTube. But he's now going to give us a lap here of the Red Bull Ring. It might be quite slow, though.
Hey guys, my name is Thomas Bienert. You probably know me from the RaceRoom Esports Discord and from the German streams. I'm doing the track guide for you today for the 5th round of DTM Esports. We are at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg. Probably not the fastest driver, but I can tell you some experience I gathered through my esports career in the last years, so let's check it out. I parked my car right in front of the last corner. It's a bit awkward if we want to watch the lap times, but as I know I'm too slow for that, we don't care too much. First corner, try to aim for the AstroTurf. That's what you usually see from the esport guys. They try to get as much track as they can, to carry as much speed as they can through turn 1. Especially it's the most important corner on that track. If you get it right, you can overtake here. If you got it wrong, you will get overtaken here. Try to use as much engine brake as you can. Try to figure out which traction control suits you the best and the hairpin. You need as much as possible on acceleration speed, otherwise you will get overtaken in turn number 5, I think it is. And then you need to be careful. Whole weight of the car is on the front axle. So be careful that you don't overshoot it. Now we are heading into a very tricky part. It looks so easy, but you need to carry so much speed. Otherwise, if you don't get it right, you probably find yourself in a side-by-side battle for too many turns. You will lose so much time. Probably you will have much fun. I used Red Bull Ring always to practice my overtaking skills. Last corner, be careful. 50-meter mark is a little bit late. Try to cut here and carry your car through the track limits as much as possible, and then, oh, I don't tell you what lap time that was, but yeah, let's see what the esport guys will do. That was quite a fun lap, and I hope you have a lot of fun with the stream.
Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for qualifying. Well, actually, I say that we've got 30 seconds left of practice, and I want to assure you that no apexes were hurt during that video footage. Actually, no apexes were touched during that video footage. Thomas, give us some more next time, please. If you're doing, hopefully he's doing the next one, to be honest with you, Connery, because I will judge him. That is a 3 out of 10 at a maximum. I think even I could go faster than that.
Yeah, there was definitely more than half a car's width between him and some of those apexes. So it's, yeah, there's a lot of room for improvement there. Although, you know, I probably can't say much considering he was watching me try to race around there a week or so ago on the same sim rig, actually. And I don't know if I could if I was any better in that situation. But I could give it a good go. But either way,
Probably not.
We'll get towards the end of the session. Practice is over here, Luke. We're heading in towards our qualifying session for today for this sprint race. And, well, still a lot of unknowns coming into this one. The Ferraris, actually, even with the 15 kilograms of ballast that they have, they are the only car that's been bopped in this race. They were still relatively quick, even up against the BMWs. So that's an interesting thing.
Yeah, I would know, but you'd not put the times up on the left-hand side of the screen for me, so I had no idea. You could see with what information you had, but not. And also, I'd pay to watch a race between you and Thomas, because you guys would race like you're being paid per second of a lap, opposed to being going the quickest if you possibly can. But here we are. Right, if you're wondering what's happening in terms of everyone sprinting out the pits, there's no, unless it's during the race, there's no pit limit, like time or speed that they have to do, or anything like that. So that's why they just absolutely sprint out there. They want to get as far, well, they want to get out as early as possible, basically, get as many laps in as they possibly can. So that is why, indeed, you saw that there. So, qualifying one here. We know how important qualifying is, especially for the sprint race. Connery, a 15-minute race is 25% less, of course, of what we have. 25% of what we have for our endurance race, and we've seen that the results can be quite different for both races. So it is vital, if you're one of the esports drivers in the hunt to maybe win this championship, that you get a result. And it's also vital if you are someone like Leonard Krippner, who, again, another esports driver who's currently 17 points off of that top 5, and even Jack Keithley, with 4 races to go, if he continues the form that he's had so far, he could really be in and amongst it. And I'll probably go as far to say maybe Hergfeld as well. I think Leonard Krippner, Keithley and Hergfeld, all 3 of those drivers have a chance today, but they have to get it right in race number 1.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. There's not much room for error now as we are getting into these final few rounds of the season. It's definitely crunch time for these drivers. Of course, our finale at Portimao will just happen in about 1 week's time. It's not that much of a break between round 5 and the final round of the season here today. So 4 races before we crown a champion and see who's in that top 5 to see who can, well, have the chance to compete for that slot in the DTM trophy for next season. Here's the complement of the esports cars. We know this situation, Luke. They all like to get out with each other and help each other out in terms of the qualifying here, so that is not entirely surprising whatsoever. We did see early on in the session, on the outlap, in fact, that Siggy was sort of trying to hop, skip, jump all through the esports cars and get himself his own own bit of player air. So that seems to be the preferred running for Kevin Siggy. You would have thought that he would have preferred to have a little bit of help from the draft ahead, but we've seen that Ferrari be strong in clear air all season, so maybe the situation does not change here at Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, it's different though for him, isn't it? He's got nobody to help him. Siggy's got no teammates or anything like that. There's no allegiances with other teams either, whereas esports have got 727 drivers in this championship, so they're able to work together and they can manage their position on track, whereas if for instance, Siggy's in behind someone and they're thinking, oh, hold on, they're gaining such a big advantage, they could slow down mid-apex and completely, mess up their lap here. As Moritz Lerner does go provisional pole, then a 27.468, 1/10 second clear of Krippner. And then we've got Siggy, who is in P3. So Siggy is in and amongst it. We expect him to be in and amongst it, but look at this. Gianmarco Villucci moves up into P2 then. So for my money, that is 2 BMWs and 2 Ferraris as your top 4.
Yep, it will be. And, well, it goes BMW at Ferrari, BMW Ferrari, until Adam Pincher has decided he wants to get himself involved in there. He goes 3rd fastest here today, so Ferrari's definitely mixing it in with the BMWs at the very front of the order here today. But, of course, this is very early stages of qualifying. There's only been 14 drivers that have been able to set themselves lap times. We've got 25 connected up to the session, so actually a good handful of drivers missing out on their first lap in qualifying, either thinking it's not good enough or they had the lap invalidated by the track limits over the course of the lap. And well, a little bit of traffic there to deal with for Gianmarco Villucci as the 2 RAG esports cars decided to pull off a little bit of a swap between the 2 of them. Villucci, of course, 2nd place at the moment, only 31 thousandths of a second behind Lerner.
Yeah, it is very, very close, and Villucci does have a teammate to work with, but ultimately not out there on circuit to do so as it stands then, by the looks of things. Florian Hasse about to come across the line as Kevin Siggy goes pole position. There it is. We expected Siggy to go fast, and is it going to be fast enough once this run of laps come through? And as it stands, yes it is. So Morris Lohner is still going to be in second. It's not by a hell of a lot at all here. Again, waiting for Lohner's pit thing to get off of his screen to see exactly what it is. The R8G team here are working together, and they've got Balash Esports. I think that's Whitvert in behind them as well. So he's decided to sort of hang on to the coattails. 9,000ths of a second now. The difference is not. Hold on, it's Pfeffer. So Pfeffer's up to P1. Tobias Pfeffer takes P1 here in the AMG. We knew that an AMG was going to do well at some point this season, and well, could today be the day? So right now then, it's Pfeffer, it's Siggy, it's Lohner as your top three. The top four separated by 1/10 of a second. We know it's going to be close around the Red Bull ring. Only one thing better than this right now is I've just been called fit by someone in my chat. Dowky, sassy man.
Yeah, I can't comment on the fitness, but I can comment on Pfeiffer's performance.
Oh, yes, you can, Connery. Yes, you can. You can comment how fit I am. It's fine.
I'll just leave it there, Luke. I'll just leave it there.
Okay.
But yeah, Pfeiffer. I mean, weren't we singing his praises last race at Spa? You know, because he was up there getting inside the top 5 in that race, and now he's gone and put it on provisional pole position with an absolutely wonderful lap. Still only 9,000ths of a second ahead of Siggy's time, but it doesn't matter how far ahead you are. It's the fact that you are ahead that gives you the pole position. Here's Christopher Hergfeld, of course. He's done personal best through Sector 1 and just, almost 3/4 of a 10th of a second off of the pole position time, but with a slightly scrappy Sector 2, a couple of 10ths of a second off the mark. Not looking like a perfect lap for Hergfeld. At least he'll get it on the board, though, I would have thought. Nope, he's going to pull towards the right-hand side. Now it starts to get a bit concerning for Hergfeld because he hasn't set a time with 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go.
No, he absolutely hasn't, so puts himself in a bit of a struggle bus territory here. 3 minutes, 20 seconds to go, as you just very well pointed out. And we've got the 3 BMWs here of the DTM Esports crew. Again, this is an outlap as it stands, so now this will be all about them hitting a flying lap. And it's Morris Lohner that's sort of leading the way here. So he's had the help from his teammates, whereas now it's all about him trying to help them. So it looks like they're trying to really work together here and give everyone the advantage they possibly can. Siggy, by the way, 12,000ths of a second up, 100th of a second if you want to be really technical here. He is currently up in sector number 1 by that amount, quicker than anybody. That's the biggest time we've seen so far. And he's also now up by 800ths of a second in total through sector number 2. Through the S as we come. Got a mere 2 corners to go here. They are very, very difficult corners to nail. Track limits around RaceRoom, on any track, sorry, around the Red Bull Ring, on any sim, are a lot more relaxed than any other circuit. No idea why, it seems to be the case here again. Running out nice and wide there. As long as you keep 2 wheels on the white line on the inside of the circuit, you're pretty much golden. As we come across the line here, this looks pretty good then for Siggy, using all of the road on exit. Did not lose the rear either as well. Across the line we will go. And sector 3 was not very good at all there. So maybe a little bit too much curb being used, maybe a bit of nerves happening, but now we're on board with Moritz Lohner then. So he's leading out the group, no slipstream to work with here, and he is absolutely flying then. Through the final 2 corners we will come. Lots of curb being used again, but it's not going to be such a big problem for the BMWs because they're so big. Across the line here for Morris Lohner, then will he take pole position? Across the line he will go. What about his teammates? He goes pole. Oh, it's a 1, 2, 4, 5, I think. So Florian Hasse goes second. And then we've got Krippner in 5th position. Is this good for my voice? No. Do I care? Absolutely not.
Well, they'll get another go at it as well. This qualifying session's not entirely done. There's Kevin Siggy, 89,000ths of a second down in Sector 1. Not ideal for the Team Redline Ferrari. Whereas Pfeiffer, he's working out with his, he's getting himself qualifying. He's going to take the tow back to the pit lane for that Taylor Riddick Esports car. So it makes my job easy, doesn't it?
Not Tobias Pfeffer. My bad, guys. Sorry. Tobias Pfeffer's in another series I commentate on. There's about 4 million drivers I have to remember. I'm going to get them wrong when they're as similar as they are. Siggy's still out there on track. His middle sector here is purple. And overall, what is he up by? Well, he's up by enough here to go second. He needs to find 5,000ths of a second. It was not a good final sector last time round. That's where he can find the improvement. Is it going to be enough of an improvement? Oh, it's just about second. He splits the Esports drivers team. And, well, as it stands then, Lohner is going to take pole. Has Siggy done enough here to take second? Krippner, I think, might be able to potentially spring a surprise here. No, he's had a terrible middle sector, unfortunately for him. Moritz Lerner, though, if he wants to become a two-time DTM Esports champion, he absolutely, I would say, has to win both races here today to set himself up for next week's finale. Next Thursday. Remember, as we cross the line here, any improvements? No, nothing changes there at all. So Moritz Lerner then takes P1. Kevin Siggy is going to take P2, and it's by a considerable margin in the end, by the way. It looks like it's 1.5 tenths of a second. Moritz Lerner has absolutely chucked in a worldie of a time at the end there, Connery. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, crazy stuff indeed. And, well, he's got one of these championships in the bag already, and he's trying his best to not allow Siggy to totally run away with things here, even though it's a huge points margin in these final two events. Hasse, Pfeiffer on that second row of the starting grid. Krippner and Villucci bringing things down to P6. Price, Pinches, Keithley, Ottaviani round out the top 10 in terms of that. And, of course, we'll skip on over into our little warm-up session, a little bit of a break before we go racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Got 6 minutes here to just go out there and get comfortable and figure out what they need to do. I think it was vitally important for someone like Siggy, albeit currently in a championship. He is 54 points clear of Moritz Lerner. What's the qualifying points? Is it first 3, 3, 2, 1?
Yeah.
Or is it 5, 4, 3, 2? I think it's 3, 2, 1. So Lerner right now will now be 53 points ahead in the championship. Behind in the championship. Again, needs to go out there and win this race. The perfect scenario would have been for him to have a teammate in second spot here to maybe slow down someone like Siggy and give as many positions between him and Lerner as possible. But ultimately, it's not going to work out there. So Siggy, if he can finish second 4 times in a row for the rest of the season, he absolutely will be the DTM Esports champion. So he doesn't have to go out there and beat Moritz Lerner at all, effectively. Just keep, indeed, damage limitation when you car, maybe not as quick as the BMWs. Make sure that you're in and amongst it. And he's done that. Alessandra Ottaviani is going to start P10 today. That is not ideal, considering he is just about in the top 5. So he's on 168 points. Gianmarco Fiduci's on 167. Leonard Krippner, who starts in the top 5, is 17 points outside the top 5 in the championship standings. So if we get the championship standings up on your screen right now, you can actually kind of explain the situation for you all at home. So there we go. Kevin Siggy, perfectly ahead. It has not been updated considering the qualifying points. So we have then got Kevin Siggy in P1, Moritz Lerner in P2. Lerner is currently our DTM Esports champion from 2020. He wants to make it 2 for 2. That's why he's got the number 1 on his car. He needs to beat Siggy twice today, effectively, to just make it interesting going into the final round, because Siggy has just been so dominant. Florian Hasse in a pretty good spot here with 179. 4 top 5s between now and the end of the season. Pretty much he's going to be okay in that top 5. Alessandra Ottaviani and Gianmarco Fiduci, their form recently has not been as strong as it was at the start of the season, which is opening the door for drivers such as Leonard Krippner, Jack Keithley and Hergfeld, who is our only other driver who's won a race outside of Siggy and Lerner. We just had someone ask in the chat, didn't Verstappen race for Redline as well? Yeah, so Verstappen is kind of like the owner of Team Redline, but now they have like a Team Redline powered by Red Bull Esports as well. So like Team Redline is now powered by Red Bull. So it's kind of its own entity on it. Like it's Verstappen, but it's also Verstappen.com, Redline, Red Bull Racing.
It's also a bit weird because we have Red Bull Racing Esports, which is an esports team as well.
Yep.
So therefore, the partnership that Verstappen and Redline have with Red Bull is via Red Bull Drinks and not Red Bull Racing, even though Verstappen's a Red Bull Racing driver. It's all really complicated, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and Red Bull Esports is partnered with G2 Esports. So it's
like a web. We need one of those conspiracy theory sort of walls with all the strands just connecting everything up, because it sometimes gets quite complicated.
Basically, the bottom line is we all race for Red Bull Esports, and that's it. Simple as that, really. No one else races for anyone else. Right, so we've got, there's a MediaMarkt car. That's one of our wildcard qualifiers. So there was a special wildcard qualifier in Germany where the finals was held in a LAN event at the Nürburgring. This is Julianne Fox, as you can see there. So you can see MediaMarkt. You'll see 3 of those cars on the grid today. And again, really nice for MediaMarkt, who's the title sponsor of the competition, to indeed sponsor 3 cars and 3 opportunities for drivers to indeed get themselves involved with this championship. We just had a thank you for thank you, Luke, and colleague. So colleague,
no one knows me. No one knows me. Hi, my name is Connery.
They know you by your face. only.
Yes, Luke is infinitely more famous than I am, so I can kind of understand. But yeah, hi.
I've appeared in many more films, Connery, and not of the sort that people should be watching.
Wow. Okay. We'll just leave that there.
Yeah, I'm just going silent so you can fill the gaps now. You know, you continue that conversation. 1 minute 30 seconds to go, yeah, and then we head into our first race. It is a rolling start, 15-minute sprint race. It always seems to be the first race we expect it to be the most carnage, but it isn't, Connery. It's always the second race when it's an hour long. So why is that? Do we have any actual reason as to why that is?
I have no idea. It's the powers that be that have decided. Of course, we as lowly commentators do not get any say into how things work. It's just the way that it is, and we do have to deal with it. Of course.
I want to say, by the way, shout out to Earth. Earth is currently watching my stream, which is mind-blowing.
Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Hi there. This has gone off the rails a little bit somewhat before our first race here, but...
That's what happens when they give us a 6-minute warm-up to fill in.
We could have gone to highlights from last season. We could have.
Seriously, who needs 6 minutes between a qualifying session and a sim race? It blows my mind. It shouldn't be a thing. Get rid of it. Now. Burn it with fire. We should go from qualifying straight to the race. Jobs are good in. Maybe for the second race, we get 3 minutes. Shouldn't have 6 minutes. So this is what happens, guys. We'll end up talking about what we've had for dinner, although I haven't because I can't taste anything. We'll end up, I don't know, talking about what our favourite pet's name was back when we were kids. It is that ridiculous. 20 seconds to go. We've got a car here that looks like I've sat on the front and the back of it. That is not the most aerodynamic car I've ever seen in my life. It looks like someone's punched it on the right-hand side twice. That's not ideal. But Jack Keithley will be in and amongst it today in this race. Here we go. Right, it's time to indeed race. Yes, we filled for long enough. It's race time. It's DTM Esports 2022. It is the rounds 9 and 10. So we'll have race number 9 of the season coming up for you, and then we'll have 10. And then next week it is the finale. It's the finale races. Kevin Siggy, will he still be in the lead of the championship? Probably. What will the gap be to him between him and Lona? Here we go. Let's go.
So we're going to get our gridding procedure underway. Of course, it will be rolling start as ever here in this series. So we got a little bit longer than anything before we get ourselves green flag racing here at the Red Bull Ring. Drivers will do the usual procedure of getting themselves to the grid, and then you'll see it say green flag, and yeah, that's not actually green flag, and we'll just go around one as a manual rolling start. But yeah, this event is going to be potentially a little bit chaotic in the first lap. It always kind of is at Red Bull Ring, because you've got that turn number 1, which is very sketchy to go side by side through at the best of times, let alone at the very start of the race. And then you've got that long run down into the braking zone at turn 3, where drivers are going to be very, very optimistic about any moves down the inside there. So expect a little bit of chaos there. And then, of course, we rinse and repeat, and we do the same down in towards turn 4.
We do indeed. Blizzard the Wolf, welcome to the stream, mate. We're wishing you a lot of fun with the race as well. Hopefully you enjoy yourself, and hopefully you'll stick around for the both races. And we've also got some racing next week. Cam Swim, you saw Redline Racing, I think, which is a different team.
Oh yeah, I remember once upon a time there was a different, like, there was Redline and there's Team Redline Racing, and then there's Redline Racing. Yeah. Dan Camish won the Porsche GB Cup last year with Redline. Can we they're two different entities. Can we ask everybody's racing for Red Bull Racing Redline? And then there was, Apex Racing Team as well. They don't do stuff in RaceRoom, but they do stuff in other sims. And then there was the Apex
Line Red.
Yeah, it was like there was some other Apex team, and then there was like can sim racing teams be a little bit more imaginative about their team names? That's all we ask. Yep. Well, I'm not here to fight anybody, but if anyone wants to send me a T-shirt from a sim racing organisation, absolutely be my guest. I am a XXL. Yes, I'm a big guy. Right, formation lap. Here we go. It's race time. So we have got ourselves Moritz Lohner, who is in that number 1 car, the BMW. And then we've got in the number 11 car, Kevin Siggy, Florian Hasser. And then we have indeed got Max Pfeiffer in 4th position. Krippner in 5th. Needs to beat Villucci. Villucci's currently in the top 5. He's 6th on the grid. He's currently in the top 5 in the championship, as is P10 Ottaviani. So right now, Krippner with a big opportunity. Where are you all watching from then, ladies and gentlemen? Cars, you've got yourself some time here. I will give you all a shout out on stream then, so let me know where you're watching on YouTube right now. I can see there's a couple of 100 people watching, and I can also see on my chat as well, where are you watching from? Get yourselves involved right now before we indeed finish this formation lap, and I will shout
you out. Don't give me your full address, but if you want to give me your bank details, that is fine. Right, here we go. In towards that final couple of corners. Beer Man Austria, he's from Austria. He loves a bit of RaceRoom. Absolutely loves a bit of RaceRoom. It comes down to this. 4 races left to go. 53 points is the difference between, on the right-hand side of your screen, Moritz Lohner, who's second in the championship, and Kevin Siggy on the left-hand side of your screen. Did that a bit skew-if. He is indeed leading the way. Can Moritz Lohner go out there and strike first blood today? As we see Manic Twig from Dusseldorf, been there. Welcome. We've got Masfa from Portugal as well. Welcome, guys. It's race time. Look at those DTM Esports BMWs on the right-hand side of your screen. Will they be able to play the team game here today? 15 minutes, 30-odd seconds of race time to go. We're about to go across the line here. It will be green light racing. It is green light racing, and Kevin Siggy has been absolutely mugged here. Up towards turn number 1, and it's a great start from the DTM Esports team. As we go through turn number 1, Hassa has got ahead, and I think Krippner as well. All 3 DTM Esports drivers ahead of Kevin Siggy, and Moritz Lohner is in absolute dreamland.
Yeah, that start couldn't have gone any worse there for Kevin Siggy, who'll look to try and gain some ground back up in towards the braking zone, up the hill in towards turn number 3, the long way around here, trying to get himself through on Krippner. Has the drive off the corner as well. He slots in ahead. Good recovery.
That is a delicious move there from Kevin Siggy. We expect him to produce absolute magic time and time again, but he's gone for the old fake here up the inside as well. And I tell you what, it's on. He gets squeezed onto the curbing there. A little bit naughty there from Hassa, but at the same time, was it a bit of a late lunge there? I think it probably was from Siggy. As we then head in towards this double left-hander, he's got to go around the outside once again here if he wants P2. What a recovery this would be. He's going to run out of grip on the outside there. Gets ushered ever so slightly wide, left the perfect amount of room. Look at Florian Hassa, he's making it difficult here. Mistake then from Kevin Siggy, gets too close, runs off circuit through the S's, and I tell you what, he's lost out to Isaac Price as well. Isaac Price comes through. It's Gianmarco Fiducci in the top 5. We've got an Arnage competition, Ferrari off the circuit in the background. In the gravel we go, and one tiny mistake there. Kevin Siggy trying to make something happen around the outside. And ultimately, Conor, we asked the question here of, should he have probably stuck with P3 and looked to make a move later on? Was he a little bit too aggressive there? Was he a little bit too optimistic?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely optimistic as Fiducci looking down the inside of Price now. Up in towards turn number 1. This will give the run to Siggy behind as Fiducci was so slow coming off the corner. And, well, this is one of those places where you can't afford to not be able to get the traction down on the run in towards turn 3. So Siggy will have the angle towards the inside. Pfeiffer also looking on Jack Keithley in behind as well. So 2x2 they went through turn 3. They don't come off the corner 2x2 though. All back single file. But it's great to see this sort of early fighting. You saw a bit of a wiggle there from the Williams Esports AMG Mercedes. They're not sure what that was about on the straight down in towards turn 4, but Keithley with a bit of a wiggle.
Absolutely. A few shout-outs here. Laser Crab from Manchester. Welcome, buddy. Hopefully you are all well. We have got Fins NL from NL. We've got Jose Julio from New York City. We've got Moto Manu watching from Romania. Welcome, bud. Holland supporting Luciano. How you doing, Frank? You're good. Did I miss anyone out there? Harko from the Netherlands as well. Welcome, bud. We have got ourselves Dennis Smith from Germany. Ben, how you doing, Ben? You okay? Pinches goes off the track. Yep, he's gone. Off you go. So as we look a bit further back here, Marco Pajic, who's just had flashes of brilliance this season, but not really been consistent enough if you want to put yourself into that top 3 or top 5 conversation, should we say. Currently at the back of the sort of first train of cars, and there's a little bit of a gap there to Gassner, just in behind in the tailored rig esports car. But as it stands then, it's Lohner who leads the way. Hassa, Krippner, this is absolute dreamland for that team right now. Moritz Lohner with a gap over his teammates as well, so he's not got to play team orders or anything like that. Just let them run their own race right now and just hope that indeed Siggy does not have a good second phase of this race. His first phase has been really, really poor. And we just saw from Gianmarco Fiducci on a previous lap actually that the outside line through turn 2 is actually very, very strong. We saw a move from Siggy earlier on. We saw that Fiducci himself make a move on to Siggy himself. So that outside line is very strong indeed. It means you can get the power a little bit early. You've opened up the corner a little bit more. Isaac Price, he hates me saying it, but one of the elder statesmen of the sim racing esports world, is doing a hell of a job here. And ultimately, he's been a bit of a stick in the mud for everybody, isn't he? Because he's not in the hunt for the top 5, Connery, but he's holding up, or he's taking up positions in the top 5 that people like, I don't know, Keithley, potentially. We've got Pfeiffer as well. Ottaviani, those drivers would like to have that extra position, but Price, he doesn't care. He's racing for himself.
Yeah, that is very typical of Price as well. He's not afraid of getting himself stuck in, no matter if he's in the championship or not. Wants to try and get himself on the podium, potentially even the race win as well. Villucci, though, further behind in this situation. Of course, he has to be concerned a little bit more regarding the championship. Same with Kevin Siggy behind as well. Villucci letting Siggy go. Okay, that was obvious.
Wow, that is interesting to say the very least here. It's a case of, why would you do that? He's got his own top 5 to try and run here. You know, the only thing I could think of in this situation is that he probably can't make the finals or something to let him go, or he feels like Siggy is better off going and attacking the guys in front and he can try and follow them through. I just think it's a very, 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 I don't know, strange situation. I just saw a comment there from Ben saying, I think that was Siggy's fault around here. Yeah, I think so too. Put himself in a very obscure position, right? He's put himself on the outside there through 3 different corners. And ultimately, you've got to expect the driver in front of you is going to be racing aggressively and also not have much road to work with, run out of road at some point and overextend at some point when you put them under that amount of pressure. And if you put yourself on that outside line, this is a mistake from Hergfeld. It's not a good day here so far. Currently just about in the top 8. And want to be trying to get to that top 5 is definitely not the way to do it, but it does take P16. But yeah, if you put yourself on the outside through, 1 corner, it's understandable, but 3, at some point the driver's going to make a mistake up your inside. And really, if you're the leader of the championship, you've got to be thinking about the championship in that position. If you're someone like Villucci, you're absolutely sticking it out there. You've got to get a big result, right? But for me, and again, I'll bring you in this, Connery, I think Siggy should have leaned on his experience a bit more there and should probably have given up that P3, well, at the time, P2.
Yeah, I think obviously hindsight is 2020, so you can always tell what the best option was after the whole situation resolved itself. But even not knowing what happens, yeah, that probably would have been the better option in that situation, because you have such a huge buffer as far as the championship is concerned. So you can finish in that P5 for the rest of this. What feels like the rest of the season, and you potentially might still be up there, winning the championship at the very end. So for Siggy, he doesn't necessarily need to really continue to press forwards here. He can run this race way more defensively and still come away with a good result that'll keep him ahead.
The whole Villucci situation where he's given up P5, I actually don't think it's a bad idea by the looks of things. Siggy just cruising up onto the back here of Isaac Price, waiting for Price to make a mistake here. A couple of more BMWs in front. And by the looks of things, the Ferrari on the longer run might be the stronger of the 2 cars. Very interesting to see how this goes. Richie's watching from the Berlin region. He'll be going to the Lausitz ring soon as well. I will be at the Lausitz ring as well. There we go. Siggy's, again, it looks like he's been let through there by Isaac Price more than anything. That didn't look like there was a big mistake or anything. I think people are just kind of like going, yeah, you crack on, you go for it. Villucci's also going to try and come through. And yeah, 100%, Price did not do that to Isaac Price. Isaac Price did not do that to Kevin Siggy in the slightest, did he? He did not try and create any kind of contact. They didn't make it difficult at all. But with Siggy, it's just like, yeah, you go on through.
Yeah, it is an interesting situation. Maybe they know it's possibly an element of a losing battle, that you might as well not fight it too hard. Oh, big move to the inside of Villucci. Keithley's going to dive it down and in as well. Pfeiffer's on this one as well. Keithley gains the position over Villucci. Pfeiffer gets the run off the corner. We almost saw 3 wides coming down in towards turn number 3. We might even see it potentially into turn 4. No, as Rachel getting himself towards the inside there. Here we go again, Luke.
I'm going to be honest with you there. Jack Keithley has got the world's biggest stamp. He spent about 3 minutes licking it, and then he sent the letter. Because, oh my lord, that was a send of all sends. And I tell you what, Villucci has made that look a lot better than what it was. If Villucci holds his line there, I think he gets catapulted into the Czech Republic. That is how far he would end up. And ultimately, because he did take avoiding action, Keithley then does get that position. RaceRoom, for me, has the best contact physics in sim racing. It does enable people to race. Is that then the detrimental fact to those contact physics? I think maybe there, because people can dive a little bit more, and it still doesn't look good on the exit, in my opinion. But ultimately, Villucci has lost that position. Whether or not that'll be penalised or not, I don't know. Let's give Keithley the benefit of doubt. Overtake is very difficult in GT cars. It was a phenomenal move. He sized it up nicely, got the job done. No flash of the lights from Villucci as well. No erratic driving from him, so I guess he's not overly too worried about it. But ultimately, the biggest winners here is Price, Siggy, Krippner, Hasse, Lohner, they've been able to just get a little bit of a gap there as a top 5. Isaac Price hanging on to Siggy relatively nicely here, but I tell you what, Siggy is all over the back here of Krippner.
Yeah, he is, and looking to go around the outside into turn 3. Going to get squeezed off the corner, rather the score's going to be shut off the corner. Going to driver's right-hand side. There's a bit of a kiss to the rear bumper, and Villucci has to remain behind for now. He's not going to be too happy about that one as the Italian. He'll commit to the outside now, down the hill into turn 4. It is a pretty tricky braking zone for that reason. As you start the descent, you have to brake a little bit earlier than you think, but Villucci still finds no way through.
That Ferrari has got some acceleration. Oh, lovely lunge here. Not quite going to work out. Backs out of the situation there, does Villucci.
Hergfeld.
Realistically, oh, Hergfeld, it's gone from bad to worse. Ladies and gentlemen, cars, into the barrier we go. Gianmarco Villucci then back into P7, looking to try and make his way up to P6 here. Villucci just has to make a move here, as he needs to keep hold of that top 5 again. I'm just going to have a look at my championship standings here. Leonard Krippner is currently 17 points behind Villucci. Leonard Krippner is currently in 3rd position. He would close that gap here. And also he's got the bonus of P3 on the grid. Did he qualify P? That might be Hasse. He might not. Actually, I don't think he got any bonus points there. But Krippner will be getting more points than Villucci. And if that is to be the case for the next race, we may see a new driver in the top 5. As it stands, it's Kevin Siggy who leads. Moritz Lohner 2nd, Florian Hasse 3rd, Ottaviani, who's not even in the well, he's just about in the top 10. So Ottaviani right now, he's going to be in trouble as well as Villucci. Krippner right now, and well, Keithley in P6, he could also make that run. I think he needs a top 5 though, as we're watching on board here with Raschel and indeed Ottaviani. Ottaviani trying to make his way up here in that R8G, the number 88, the best racing number in racing apart from the number 8 and the number 888. They're all equally as good. As we head then down in towards turn number 3, we're just about going to miss it here. Siggy is trying to make a move on Krippner. This is still ongoing though. This is still ongoing. Gianmarco Villucci versus Jack Keithley. Villucci doesn't do what Siggy did earlier on, does not hang on to that outside, but now he should get the overlap up the inside, doesn't quite have it, not quite got the momentum, but the acceleration of that Ferrari gives him an upper opportunity, and Connery, that's something I've noticed here. That acceleration of the Ferrari is mega around here.
Yeah, it is pretty immense, and well, despite the 15 kilos of ballast, still very competitive, still getting stuck in. Yes, it is a BMW 1-2-3, but the Ferraris are not too far off the pace despite all the bop that they've got. They are the only car that has been adjusted for this race, surprisingly. But the drivers will have to try and adapt to that the best that they can. Villucci, of course, in the Ferrari trying to press forward. Same with Kevin Siggy as well, as he's now locked onto the back of Krippner for the 2nd lap in a row. He's going to dive it down the inside.
Yeah, we know the outside line here is very... Oh, no, not if you have contact there. The outside line is very quick, but ultimately just going across the bonnet there of the BMW has completely halted his move there. As we see in the background, Ottaviani looking to make another position up here. I think, maybe, yeah. No, I'm trying to hold on. It's Villucci trying to make a move here on Keithley. Keithley makes the late diving defensive move there. He's now going to be ushered out. And in my honest opinion there, that is on Keithley's late move there. I think that the move had been committed by Villucci, and ultimately Keithley then made a reactionary defensive move, which ultimately has then created the contact. He's then been run offline. I don't think Villucci's at fault for that one iota.
Yeah, remember though, we've got ourselves, our stewards will look at things after the race. They don't tend to make decisions during the race. Every penalty is usually a post-race time penalty applied to the results. So we won't hear about it until we get this race done here. But do you prefer it done that way, Luke, with all penalties applying afterwards, or you do prefer drivers being given things like time penalties and drive-through penalties in the race so that they know about it?
Not my job. I don't want to talk about penalties and stuff like that. Let the stewards and whatever crack on with that. That's not my issue. I'm here to read what's on the screen, and that is it. Siggy, again, holding on to that P3. Now trying to chase down a P2. Again, damage limitation, a P2. He just tends to be able to get podiums. Doesn't matter whether he has a terrible race or a terrible qualifying, he manages to still get that car on the podium, and that is the difference between him and Moritz Lohner this season. Moritz Lohner, if he has a great race, he tends to win it. If he has a poor race, he's outside the top 10. As we see, I don't know what's going on here. This is crazy stuff. Max Cypher leading this group of cars. Now he's into P7, and he leads Keithley and Ottaviani. Siggy has made the move here, and Hasse struggling. I tell you what, I think the BMWs might be struggling with tyre wear already at this race, and this bodes so well for the Ferraris because the moves made on both of those drivers were so simply done. And you know that they're going to defend their position as hard as they can for their teammate, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, I think the BMWs might already be struggling here.
Potentially, we'll get more on that, of course, once we get into the endurance race, because there'll be longer tyre stints. So, you know, hour-long race. That's going to be much more of an issue. But we're heading our way across the line now. Moritz Lohner will start the final lap here at the Red Bull Ring for the sprint race. So 51 seconds left on the clock. It is a 1:27 in terms of lap time here. So that's all you need to know to confirm for yourself that this is the last lap. And, well, 3 seconds back to Siggy. P2 is about as high as Siggy's can finish here.
One less job for us to do, Connery, trying to count whether we're going to have another lap or not. So at least we know this is going to be the final lap here. Lohner, who's been a loner out the front there on his own, not really had anything to be too worried about. Got a great start, let everyone else battle behind him, and was just able to indeed do what he needs to do. Siggy, P2. What a drive it's been from him. He was down at P6 at one point, managed to get his way back up here. And we've got Hasser and Krippner. I tell you what, Isaac Price, one more bit of magic here. Can he get himself towards that potential podium? He knows these two cars in front of him. I'm not going to battle too hard because they're teammates. It's as simple as that on the final lap. But can he indeed lean on that here? He's going to look to try and make a dive here, potentially. The double left-hander, trying to catch Krippner offline here. Krippner just not able to get... He's trying to go to the apex really late there, but no turning at all here. That BMW is struggling with something here for sure. To come through the S's here, Lohner is going to cross the line and take the victory. Don't have to worry about him. He's done it and dusted. Siggy is going to get P2, but it's all about really who's going to get P4, as Hasser is going to take that final podium spot. Again, early apex here from Krippner, but again, just struggles on the exit. I think it's just about going to hold on enough here. So the top 5 are as they are. Lohner, Siggy, Hasser, Krippner, and then we've got Isaac Price. Villucci is going to finish just about in P6. Good result in the end after a bit of shenanigans. We've then got Max Pfeiffer. We've then got Keithley. Ottaviani, P9. He needs to do better in race 2. We've got Rachel in your top 10. Winner of race 1 today here for round 9 of the DTM Esports 2022 Championship. It's Moritz Lohner, Esports. So the BMW, it looked quick. Ferraris on a longer run looked a bit quicker for me. So the race number 2, Connery, is going to be very interesting indeed.
Yeah, that was our first little look. I like treating these sprint races as a sort of preview of what's to come. Of course, there are still a significant amount of points that's available for these sprint races, so they should be treated as important on their own. But it's more of just telling us a little bit of a few details about how the endurance race will be run. But yeah, Moritz Lohner taking the race win from Siggy, from Hasser, from Krippner, from Price. So your top 5. Those are the important positions in this championship, considering the top 5 in points at the end and get themselves that chance to compete for the DTM Trophy drive for next season. Those outside the top 10, of course, Garsner, Nagy, Piska, Vanalen, Pringer down in P15 there. So yeah, that was intriguing. Well, we saw a lot of dives. Let's just say that. I mean, this circuit definitely promotes the sort of racing that we saw here today in the sprint race, with drivers trying to open up those insides as much as possible in towards turn 3 and 4. That's the theme we're going to run with heading into the endurance race as well.
Absolutely. It will be as exciting, if not more exciting, especially adding the mandatory pit stop. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves a little commercial break coming up here. I want you to let me know your favorite ever racing car, or maybe sim racing car, or maybe your favorite driver or sim racing driver in the chat. You've got yourself about 3.5 minutes. Get them in the YouTube and Twitch chat right now. But let's go, first of all, head to a commercial break.
Auto Hero ist dein Online-Shop für Gebrauchtwagen. Wir verkaufen nur Autos aus unserem eigenen Bestand. Jedes ist von unseren Kfz-Experten general überholt und rundum aufbereitet. Und du erhältst 1 Jahr Garantie. So unbeschwert kann Autokauf sein. Finde jetzt dein Auto bei Auto Hero.
moving on. So sad, let's be on my way. Best of luck. I'm moving on. I'm moving on.
Welcome back then, ladies and gentle cars. It's time for qualifying number 2 for race 2. It's a 1-hour race with a 30-minute pit window in the middle. Yes, I know, it's exciting. The first race, well, not going to lie, I went out well too hard. The first 20 seconds, I nearly choked at the first bit. Yes, I'm not very well. I have got COVID, but I'm still going to get through this. It's going to be absolutely fine. I will mention, only 2 people told me a favourite car in the chat. What is wrong with you people, first and foremost? Get yourselves involved. It's just typing on a keyboard or on a phone, or maybe you have a talk-to-text feature and you're real fancy-dancy. Let us know what your favourite car is of all time. We've got daily racing clips here. He gave a shout-out to us earlier on, actually, by the way, Connery. So, again, thank you very much for that. Dacia Logan VLN car. Yep, that is an absolute classic. My favourite car is the 2020 GT3 Evo Ferrari from Assetto Corsa Competizione. I can never say that word. And my favourite driver is Pierre Gasly. Nice. My also favourite car is a Porsche 917. I had the pleasure of driving a few. Oh, okay, here he is. Here he is, Mr.
Wow.
I've driven some £1 million cars. Oh, I see you, JJ Roberts. That's a bit of a weird flex. Jesus. God, let's get away from that guy. That's unbelievable. Yeah, I've driven a Renault Clio. Oh, no, I've driven a Porsche 917. Oh.
I mean, the car that I drive is a 2001 Ford Focus, and that is the extent of the cars that I've driven, at least with my not learning to drive. So, yeah, I can't really say anything.
Everyone knows the best car in the history of the world is the Renault Laguna from 1996, maybe up towards 2000. In that 4-year period, the Renault Laguna in the British Touring Car Championship is easily the best car of all time. Fact. Doesn't matter what anyone else says. Our Harco original Audi Quattro. Yeah, okay, that's up there. That's a pretty beautiful car. I actually get to commentate on those cars in the DTM Classic Series in real life. So, yeah, the pleasure is definitely all mine. I love it. Absolutely love it. We've got Laser Crab here, who is a hilarious memester, Connery. He thinks the Fiat Multipla. What a hilarious jokester this guy is.
I mean, he's just a fan of his practicality.
Yeah, practicality of driving around in a box. Oh,
Yeah,
fair
absolutely. I mean, I certainly
Each
don't
to
blame
their
him.
own. Pretty sure he's never been to a party though.
Yeah, I don't think
It's
anyone who's owned the Fiat Multipla has ever been to a party.
No, although you could hold a disco in the back.
I mean, don't give him ideas.
That's true. It'd be like a new TikTok account, Fiat Multipla Discotheque. Anyway, we're actually here for the DTM Esports, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. Villucci who needs this, is currently on pole with a 27.281, and that is the fastest time we've seen today.
Indeed it is. So Villucci, fantastic stuff. He's got the 2 Arnage competition cars ahead of him, which may have helped in terms of the slipstream on that fast lap. Yeah, Villucci, fantastic lap time indeed. I'm having a look further down the order because Krippner has not set a lap time just yet, neither has Rachel. So 2 DTM Esports drivers not being able to get out there just yet for their qualifying. Lona is in second place, though. That's the man that they want to keep up there, I suppose, and try to erode some points away from Siggy. But I think that's kind of a losing fight at the moment, considering the performance of the Redline driver. But Payage up there in the Mercedes now. He's in P4. He was a little bit further down the order in race number 1, but putting it on the second row of the starting grid so far in this session. We've still got about 5 drivers yet to set themselves times, but that's a good start for Payage.
Certainly is. Payage right up there. Maybe the conditions are a little bit different here. Although, give Villucci the credit where it's due. He's currently on pole. No one's able to beat it. JJ Roberts. Sometimes my sarcasm comes out as jealousy. Please don't worry about it. Don't have to apologise. I'm just very jealous. We've got the Castrol Toyota Supra. Yeah, absolute classic there. Do I remember the Lancia Stratos? It's like one of the most ridiculous, beautiful cars of all time. Of course I do. It's actually the screenshot of my iPad is a Lancia Stratos, believe it or not. Nice little fact for you there. We've also had a funny idea for the next DTM race, commentators versus subscribers. Not sure there's a subscriber on the DTM channel there that's capable of beating me and Sim, I'm afraid. So that'd be a waste of your time. I'm sorry, guys, but I just like to spit facts. Villucci still pole. Lona in second, ahead of Siggy, which is huge. We've got Max Pfeiffer then with the Taylor Rig Esports car. Just up ahead of another Taylor Esports car. They're working together here by the looks of things, which is all good. Isaac Price up to P6 as Gassner. Gassner currently P8. I think it would have been, I don't know who it would have been. Maybe, I don't know who that would have been.
Markovic.
I don't know. Markovic, there we go. So there's Markovic, the Montegranese driver. 2 minutes, 50 seconds left to go on the clock. Villucci still leads Lona and Siggy. Lona would be... If Villucci was able to go out there and get pole position, Lona's got every single tool to use right now. He's got his whole team to work with as it stands. So, yeah, it would be almost unthinkable for him not to go out there and get pole. And I'm trying to think, who is that? I can't remember who that AMG is, the yellow and black AMG, because that's twice now that they have helped us. Kevin Siggy goes second. Who's that yellow and black? There we go. Jonas Vanner.
Yeah.
For the SRC Movano course, he's definitely working there with Moritz Lerner.
Yeah,
100%.
We saw that in the ADAC series a couple of days ago as well. Vanna seems to have this sort of alliance with the DTM Esports drivers and runs with them in qualifying. As if DTM Esports needed more teammates and more people helping them out. I'll just leave it at that. But Lona heading his way across the line now. Not a great sector 2. So that's going to be his final opportunity pretty much.
One more chance now.
Yeah, he'll get one more. So Lona P3 for now. Siggy actually improves up to get himself up into second place. Villucci takes the tow back to pit lane, so he won't be able to get out there to start another lap. So yeah, it's all about now Siggy versus Lona, and potentially drivers like Gassner in this one as well.
Yeah, very interesting how this is going down here. Is this happening again? Jonas Vanner is literally just waiting for them to give him a tow, as was the other AMG.
He hasn't set a time himself yet.
Yeah, and now I'm all for... I don't like that.
No.
I think that's trash. If I'm honest with you, that is trash. And, use your teammates, but drivers outside of that, I think that leaves a very sour taste in my mouth here.
Yeah.
So Kevin Siggy to be able to still go out there and produce the time, and don't get me wrong, he had help in race 1 in the race where people were letting him go through. It's obvious that it's almost like half the grid have picked their favourite driver. It's like it's Siggy versus Lona. And as much as I love Moritz to bits, and you get offered this as a sim racing driver or a racing driver, you take it, right? You get every advantage you take. I don't like to see it. I think it's actually quite poor form to see this, seeing other teams helping other drivers and not even setting lap times. I think that's obviously a loophole in the rules. I'm a commentator. I'm allowed to commentate. I'm allowed to comment on exactly what I see out there. As Gianmarco Villucci and Kevin Siggy, without the help of every other team in the world, have taken the front row, which I think is a little moral victory for us people watching at home. Gianmarco Villucci P1, Kevin Siggy P2, Moritz Lohner then P3, Max Pfeiffer is in P4, Hasser is in P5, Marko Pejic in P6. Der Esports actually have had a bit of a nightmare here, haven't they? Because Pejic's been allowed in, so is Max Pfeiffer. We've then got Leonard Krippner for Der Esports in P7. We've got Mark Gasner in P8. And I tell you what, the Tailored Rig Esports team have done a very good job during this session, the best of the season so far. Isaac Price then P9. Yeah, there we go. That is your top 9. I just about missed who was in the top 10 there. But ultimately, Der Esports were handed everything on the plate. They were not able to deliver.
Yeah, and I do completely agree with you. It's certainly one thing using your teammates to help, but using drivers that have, well, at least on face value, have nothing to do, no matter what the relationships are behind the scenes. You know, the thing is, it's not forbidden by the rules. So therefore, you try and take every single advantage you can, and then we can maybe talk about changing the rule afterwards. But as it is right now, there was nothing wrong with that in terms of rules. Morally, though, for me at least, in my professional opinion, it was kind of trash, like you said.
Yeah, 100%. I just, as someone who's a fan of this, I don't like to see it. Like, you see I always use Formula 1 as the example, because it is the flagship series of motorsport. It's as simple as that, whether you'd like to believe that or not. You're wrong if you don't believe it. But you see teams like Alpha Tauri, right? Or will help out a Red Bull in a race by maybe not getting out of the way as a blue flag of a competitor, but not directly giving their sister team a tow. And these aren't even sister teams. So the fact that there was 2 drivers out there that were just throwing their own qualifying away, and effectively they're in this championship just to help someone else win it, I'm not a fan of that, and maybe something needs to be done before the next week, in my opinion. But there you go. That's just my thoughts on it. And if I wasn't honest, I wouldn't be doing this as a job.
There are some.
If I wasn't allowed to be honest, sorry, I wouldn't be doing this as a job. I can assure you of that right now.
There are some other series that actually do outright ban that. It's hard to police, but I mean, it was very obvious right there what they did. So that would definitely fall foul of rules of other series, but not necessarily this one, of course. But yeah, we've got 4 minutes to go in this warm-up. We could potentially, if you want to do it, Luke, we could potentially squeeze in the highlights from Spa.
Yeah, do it. Why not?
So here we go then. Highlights from Spa-Francorchamps. This was the event just a few weeks ago.
Francorchamps. Keithley on pole positions, AMG then versus BMW. This is indeed the battle for DTM Esports 2020, and it was Lohner that came out on top. And while can Keithley go out and get a race victory here? We are green light racing here, round 7 of the DTM Esports 2022. Kevin Siggy in that red Ferrari up the inside, forces Siggy to make a decision here. Siggy's going to take the inside line then, up towards Lacecom. Is he going to be able to have the source to take it? Through the right-hander now, through the main part of the chicane here, through the mid part of the chicane we go. Siggy's got that overlap up the inside. He will grab a load of curb on the inside here. Keithley is offset. He is absolutely offset. Lohner's going to try and come through here, almost 3 wide. Come down in towards Bruxelles. Lohner is going to come through here. Keithley tried to pinch him on the apex. It was never going to work out.
The fact that Leonard Krippner is able to get himself alongside around the outside of the Corm and tags the Ferrari around. Villucci in the front of traffic.
I tell you what, Siggy, again, running a little bit wide. This is perfect. He's been far too close coming into here previously, and Siggy then forces him to make the decision round the outside. Can he give us a moment to behold once again? Moritz Lohner has got the overlap here. Oh, he has got the overlap. Curb being used. All of the curb being used. Siggy on the power a little bit earlier. They are still side by side. Across the line they will go. They will start the final lap, but it will still be Siggy in the lead. Oh, he's going to take one line. He's obviously going to take that inside line here. Lohner's going to try and find a gap. He is absolutely going to try and find a gap, try and unsettle Siggy. He does go up the inside. Siggy's just about going to hold on. But what about the exit here? Can Lohner get that power down? He cannot. It is going to be Kevin Siggy that will take race 1 here today at Spa. It's a fantastic performance from him. Had to make a couple of overtakes to do so. We're about to go for the green light racing. We are green light racing here. It is indeed round 8. Race 2 today of the DTM Esports Championship. Siggy has gone for a dive here, not only on Payich, but I think he went for a little lunge there on Moritz Lerner. But Siggy, as he did in race number 1, has made up 1 position, and he has, there we go. So Pfeiffer moves up a position. He reads the fact that Keithley is absolutely going to dive up the inside here. That's a little bit messy there from Keithley, if I'm honest. So we've got a battle for the lead. Lerner then still got that nose up in front. They're door banging their way in towards the chicane here, and you can see using all of the curb on the exit is indeed Kevin Siggy. Moritz Lerner, though, is still holding on that inside line. It's perfectly respectful on the outside there. Villucci closes up, Payich closes up, and well, if you indeed are Kevin Siggy and you want to make this move, you've got to have that overlap around the outside and have that inside line down in towards No Name. Has he got the overlap here to work with? He does not, as he's right underneath that rear wing of the BMW. The BMW again will not leave that inside line open, but look who's pushing as well. They're bump drafting. They're absolutely bump drafting here. Villucci pushing Siggy to the lead of this race. This is as furthest he's been ahead so far. Look at this though, Moritz Lerner pinning Siggy onto the apex here, and Siggy will hold on to P1, but look at this, Villucci trying to pick up any pieces here. Lerner has to leave that room by the wall, doesn't want to be forcing someone into the wall there. Villucci really has to back out of this situation here. I tell you what, he hasn't. Lerner's backed out of this situation. Round 8 is going to go the way of Kevin Siggy. Absolutely deserves it there. Villucci, and not a good race number 1. He's going to finish in second, and Lerner is going to finish in P3. Well, the question really is, will the racing line rear its ugly head once again for race number 2 here today? Hopefully not, but it is what it is. Right, it's race time coming up for you. It's 1 hour long, this one. It's a long one. It's a long, long race. Can Moritz Lerner get back up towards the lead here? Can he indeed close that championship lead, which Kevin Siggy holds so, so dearly? It's close. But I tell you what, if qualifying's everything to go by, it looks like the Ferraris may have a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case, and of course you pointed out at the end of the sprint race as well that the BMWs were looking a little bit worse for wear in terms of the tyre performance at the end of the sprint race. So let's see if that carries on over into this endurance race. Of course, drivers will be much more conscious that they're going to have to conserve the tyres a little bit over these stints than they would need to in a sprint race. So there's certainly an element of that needs to be factored in. Of course, we've got the whole strategy situation on pit lane, because of course these drivers have to take the tyres and the fuel. You can't just take fuel and try and get yourself a shorter stop or anything like that. You just have to take the tyres and indeed the fuel here. So that does open up undercut opportunities for some drivers, and we've seen it a few times already this season. But you know, it's very difficult to make work, especially when the 2 stints that you're actually running are relatively short in the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely. Could not agree with you more there. Right. We've got 1 formation lap to go here, ladies and general cars. So if you're watching on Twitch or indeed on YouTube, I want you to tell me right now where you're watching from around the world. And I mean everybody. If you can hear me right now, open up that chat. I know you just want to see the screen. I know you just want to see those races. But for me, please, open up the chat. Let me know where you're watching from around the world and who is going to win this race. And maybe you don't know who's racing, and you will do by the end of this race, but maybe the car. Maybe a BMW, maybe it could be Ferrari, maybe it could be AMG. Maybe it could be Audi, even though there's not an Audi on the grid. Who knows? Stranger things have indeed happened. So there we go. Get yourselves involved. We've got Uruguayan currently in Poland. Mintruso, how you doing, mate? Welcome. Hopefully you are indeed all well. Connery, I'm going to ask you for your prediction then. And I'm not going to ask you who. I'm going to ask you what. What car is going to win this race?
It's hard to say, but I think BMW again, to be honest. Even though we've got Ferrari front row right now, I think the BMW still have that very slight edge. I think it's more of the driver behind the wheel that has made that Ferrari go fast in the case of Kevin Siggy. And of course, you know, we had Villucci fast over a single lap in clear air as well. Potentially, those BMWs might have a bit more staying power, and I think I'll go with the potential double race win even for Moritz Lerner as well. We got Mercedes up there this time though, so that is sort of the unknown element of this one. That's kind of messing things up.
Very, very true. Well, we've got some answers in the chat. Daily Racing Clips from the Netherlands wants BMW to go out there and get the dub. Philadelphia, shout out to you, Gage. How you doing, mate? Watching from India, Arshad, welcome. We've got Matters like, aren't you curious about the ages as well? I learned very, very young not to ask anybody how old they are. It doesn't ever end well. Uvix from Israel, welcome, mate. Hopefully you are well. Here we go. Is it true RaceRoom are working on a Lamborghini? I don't know, mate. I don't work for RaceRoom. Anyway, round the final corner we will go. It's a Ferrari front row here. It is Villucci on pole position. A race win here would maybe guarantee him that top 5 for the rest of the season. Remember, top 5 is where you need to be at the end of the season to get involved in the prizing. Here we go, across the line we're about to go. It's green light racing already here, and wow, it's a fantastic start once again from Villucci. It's not such a good start from Siggy. Lona then, is he going to swing it around the outside here? He absolutely is already then up into the lead, and very similarly to race number 1, Kevin Siggy's gone backwards, but he's not gone down 6 positions like he did in race number 1. We see in the background Isaac Price having a little battle there with Gassner, I think. Gassner Payich just in behind both of them, which is nice to see. Siggy looking for the potential move here on Lona. Going to run a little bit wide. Isaac Price then, well, he's actually behind Payich now, isn't he? He's also behind Gassner. He's also behind Hassa. He's also got the battle then of Ottaviani. Ottaviani, though, has got indeed pinches, as we see off the circuit. Poor Christopher Hergfeld. Again, outside of Lona and indeed Siggy, the only driver to win a race. And unfortunately, just not been the day for him. It's not been a week, you know, like yeah. If we're going to talk about the ADAC stuff, it's not been a week for him for sure. It's not been the month for him, really, because everything just seems to be going wrong. And I just hope he puts a stop to the rot at some point. The guy is far too talented to be making the mistakes, or not so much his own personal mistakes as he's been making. He's a very talented guy. He puts himself in championship winning positions for a reason. That's because he's one of the very best in the world right now. He's very new to the top, being the top of the game, and whatever he might be racing, but he has got a huge, bright future as Christopher Hergfeld, and we will see him come back stronger. I can tell you that right now. I will even guarantee it. Across the line we go then, end of lap 1. It is Villucci then that does take P1 as it stands, though. A long way to go, 59 minutes to go. Moritz Lona then will want to try and get up into the lead as soon as possible, because he knows that the Ferraris actually will become a little bit stronger as this stint goes on, from what we saw in race number 1 anyway. I tell you what, Max Pfeiffer in P4, performance of the day so far, getting that AMG up into P4. I think the AMG is not the worst car in the world around here, but ultimately it's definitely not the best either, but doing a relatively good job. We've then got Hassa, Kripner, Payich, Gassner, Price now down to P9, Ottaviani, Siggy and Lona battling for position by the looks of things. They were, I think, swapping paint here. I know, it's just a bit of a timing issue. But yeah, Lona, who was looking to make a move potentially on the car in front, is actually under a lot of pressure from behind as Siggy does try and send his nose up the inside. He's just going to put Lona offline here. I don't think he's going to gain a position, but this is exactly what happened in race number 1, and he hung it round the outside. Would he do it this time? Absolutely decides against it, Connery. And that is leaning on your experience there. Probably should have done that race 1. Didn't do it race 1, but ultimately learned his lesson very, very quickly indeed.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results every time. So that's what Siggy has learnt, and decides to back out the move that time around. Shows great presence of mind to be able to make that call. Of course, Max Pfeiffer in the AMG Mercedes in behind. Just watching this as it goes on for the moment. I'm not entirely sure whether Pfeiffer is going to try to press the issue a little bit too much at this stage. A solid top 5 finish would be absolutely fantastic for the DTM Esports car. A little bit of a slide coming off of turn number 1. You can't afford to be doing that too much, lest you take a little bit too much out of the tyres, and then you're scrapping for performance a little bit later on.
100%, and also you don't want to run too far wide in turn 1, because it's one of those very rare occurrences that you can actually roll a car on RaceRoom. So yeah, if you go over that sausage curb at the wrong angle, you will absolutely end up on your roof. And I tell you what, one of the funniest, let's just watch this very quickly here, as Rachel, Keithley's already down at P14, by the way. He's not had a good start to this race. He's actually going to make his way up past then the number 16 of Rachel. He's going to follow Pinches through. Pinches is in that Arnage competition pink car there in front of the Ferrari. He's missing the apex entirely here. Keithley maybe with an opportunity to send one up the inside, snaking off the exit there as Pinches, but for the most part here has held his line. But Dan Camish, again, mentioned him twice in this broadcast now, British touring car driver for Napa Racing. He took part in one of my leagues for the first ever time, and literally the first lap of his first ever race, he qualified pole, and he rolled it at turn 1 onto his roof. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. in my life. Professional racing driver, coming in, smoking everybody, but then ended up on his roof within one corner.
Yeah, it never wanted to end like that. And well, thankfully in sim racing, we can laugh at those things because no one's really in danger, are they? Unless they have a direct drive wheel and someone plows straight into them when they're not preparing it, then of course you have the issue about the wrists. But yeah, it's good that we can enjoy those things here in sim racing without feeling too bad for the driver's health. But coming up, well, 5 minutes elapsed here. Villucci's doing very well to hold on to this race lead for the moment, not under too much pressure from Moritz Lohner behind. So I think the task, at least for the front two, is just try to manage those tyres into those first sets of stops. And
speak for yourself. Like, not too much pressure.
yeah, well,
Right up his chuff pipe here.
well, the thing is, it's all relatively speaking, because we've seen Siggy nose to the inside pretty much, well, almost every single braking zone on Lohner. Lohner hasn't really been doing the same to Villucci, so it's more of a relative comment.
Okay, I was going to say, right now, it's like they are close enough. They're close enough to make Ferrari, BMW babies at this point. This is as close as you want it to be, really. I don't know. It'd be something. It'd be expensive. I can tell you that much. Through the double left-hander we will go. Again, we've gone off topic so often today. It's been a bit of a weird one. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed themselves at home. And apologies if it's not been the most professional. But I feel like we've had a laugh and we are taking the racing very seriously. As the sparks fly up there from Villucci's Fordzilla car. Moritz Lohner runs a little bit wide there, grabbing a bit more curve than anyone else, but ultimately should be able to carry a little bit more speed unless you indeed get a slowdown penalty for your troubles. But as it stands, looks like Siggy just taking a bit of a, pardon the pun, foot off the gas, if you like, ever so slightly. And it's a case here, you've got to make a decision. Do you come in early and try and do the undercut, is what we've seen work some weeks, and then some weeks it just doesn't. It's a very strange one. At the Red Bull Ring, what's going to come up? We need Bence ready. We need Bence in the chat to let us know what he thinks is going to work out here. I think an undercut is a genuine possibility, just because it looked like there was a huge drop-off, especially for the Ferraris in a 15-minute race. So I feel like obviously in a 1 hour race, that's going to be magnified.
Yeah, I would say wait for us to get a little bit deeper into this first end before we can really make any conclusive comment. I'm keeping an eye on the lap times, of course, and the best laps that have been set, and see if there's any significant drop-off with regards to that in the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. That will give us a little bit of a better idea of how things stand with regards to the tyre wear and the strategy. Meanwhile, further back, we've got ourselves, well, this is Alpha P8 between Gaster and Price. And, well, Price might have the overlap on the way down in towards turn number 7 here. Does get just about alongside, and Gaster leaves him the space.
Yeah, what's Gassner doing, though? He's just gone far too tight there. He's the one who's offset himself by creating the contact. Didn't need to do so. And now he finds himself under some extreme pressure here. And now Price, with the car in front, can pinch him onto the apex, and it's almost a freebie. It's a really good move from Price. He uses every ounce of his experience, and again, as much as he is only 28 years old, because compared to most people in the world of sim racing, especially at the elite level, he is the granddad. It's as simple as that. He's been around for so long, albeit he's still in his prime, as he keeps pointing out to me. I don't know, maybe you're getting a bit too old. You have the armchair out and the pipe soon, Isaac. I'm sure you'll be watching this back. But that's a great move from him. But for me, Gassner kind of gave that up, as we see an Arnage competition car facing the wrong way and now facing the right way. Dismount there. If this is gymnastics, we're giving that a 10 out of 10, because her position's lost yet, not ideal, but still facing in the right direction. But Adam Pinches, then, who was battling with Jack Keithley last time we saw, is now down to a P20.
Yeah, decent 360 is what I'll say that from Adam Pinches. Back to the front, though, because things are tightening up a little bit again. They're all running each other.
Yeah, so according to Connery, this is just a walk in the park. There's nothing really going on here. They're miles apart from each other. I'm not expecting any potential moves here. Look at the gap. The gap is huge between P1 and P2 now. It's probably the biggest it's been all race, so we're not expecting anything to come through the S's once again and towards that final couple of corners. It is very tight. Tight as a tiger. Villucci, Lohner, Siggy, Pfeiffer, and Hasser are very closely contesting. Well, I say that, yeah, the top 4. Then we've got Hasser, Krippner, and Payich as your next little group of drivers. But a couple of mistakes here, a couple of potential moves that don't quite go well. And Hasser, Krippner, Payich, they move their way up. No problem whatsoever. So interesting to see how this goes down. 0.8 of a second, Connery separating that front 4. Oh, this is warming up lovely.
It really is, and Siggy trying to get that run out of the first turn to open up the opportunity coming down the straight into the braking zone of 3. He's much closer this time around than he has been on previous occasions. Lona might be tempted to try and send it down the inside of Villucci as well. There's just looks to the inside, but nothing more. Almost absolutely nose to tail on the way through the apex of 3. Pfeiffer continuing with the pressure as well. But I mean, they like to run each other a little closely, don't they?
Yeah, and that's what I said. One failed overtake. Oh, that's not a failed overtake. That's a proper opportunity, and it's failed, though. I'm just saying, one failed overtake away from Hassa becoming the fifth man in the train. Simple as that. Then Criminal will be able to join into the back there. So you've got to be careful here if you are Siggy. Right now, if you're finishing P3 and Lerner's just in front of you in P2, you're losing points, but ultimately not enough to be worried about your championship. You go into the final round with maybe a 45-point advantage, maybe even a little bit less than that, but it's going to be at least 40, which is absolutely massive. You've got nothing to be worried about here, so just don't take the chances. We saw in race 1, he cost himself, judging by his pace in race number 1, he could have won that race if he did not go down to P6. Just don't cost yourself, especially this early in a race. Don't be silly. Don't make any silly decisions here. He's only one position ahead of you. No one else is really fighting for the overall championship. So just make sure that you only lose one position worth of points if you lose points at all.
Yeah, it's all a bunch of damage limitation for Kevin Siggy, and we usually say that in a negative sense, don't we? Like, the driver's made a mistake and, you know, they've spun and then they've been sent towards the back of the order. It's a slightly different situation here for Siggy, in that he doesn't necessarily need to go for an aggressive move down in towards every single braking zone. He can just circulate and finish in P3 and it'll be a happy day. Whether or not that's the attitude that he's taken to this race, well, it might be slightly different because, like I said many times before, racing drivers tend to think a little bit differently than we do, us mere mortals, so they would, you know, they're wanting to try and go for that race win even if it is a little bit detrimental to their season sometimes. But of course, it's important to keep that bigger picture in your mind.
Yeah, 100%. I will say that. There's a reason why we're talking about the racing and not actually out there on track. You know, these drivers are absolutely a different level compared to what we are. We can kind of understand the basics of their level. We can't understand everything. We just call what we see. Race cars go vroom vroom. That's pretty much what our job is. So yeah, take what we say with a pinch of salt here. We're just trying to, how I see commentary, I like to see every single race as like a puzzle, and I'm putting little pieces together to try and figure out an outcome of the race before it happens. That's how I look at commentary, and then obviously you have surprises along the way, and most of the time you get it wrong before you get to the end of the race. So yeah, I just like to try and put it together like a puzzle. 3 drivers out of this race. We've got Rodriguez, who actually sent me a message this afternoon. You're saying, thank you for all the lovely messages. Of course I'm going to say lovely messages, Manu. You're one of the most beautiful men in sim racing. It is what it is. You're on level par with Enzo Benito, my 2-man crushes. Look, it is what it is, like I said. But he actually wanted to say, look, I've also qualified for the Alpine Esports competition on ACC. So he's just absolutely dominating on anything that he puts his hand to. He actually finished P5 in the time trials for that. And James Baldwin, who's probably with Joshua Rogers, P1, P2, maybe P1 tied, the overall outright pound for pound best sim racers out there, and he managed to out-qualify James, so he was pretty happy with that. But yeah, he's not unfortunately going to finish this race. Mosin as well, one of our wildcard drivers, not going to finish, and then Jonas Banner, who, yeah, for me, just he wouldn't be allowed to race again, to be honest. If I was running the series, it's just a case of you've just thrown away your whole race on purpose to help another team. Yeah. I just think that it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Anyway, that's just how I think about it. And he's just not even taking part in a race, so he's literally here to try and help someone win a championship, and I just don't think that's right.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it after qualifying. I don't know if there's all that much more that we can have to say about that one.
No, absolutely not. You're right.
It's unfortunate, but it's within the letter of the law. It's fine within the spirit of the law. You know, it's a little bit dodgy, but you know, that's just how I'll put it. If that causes some drama on Twitter, then I will just leave it at that. But but there we go. We haven't got enough Twitter drama here in sim racing, do we, Luke?
No, absolutely not. You can at me at ActRollVision on Twitter, and I will more than happily ignore you. So it's fine, unless it's something nice you send to me, like some flowers, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'll definitely respond to you there with some love hearts. Right, I don't know what's going on with me today. I'm in a different world. My brain's in a different planet. This is close here now between Kevin Siggy and Moritz Lohner. And again, they really want to try and make too many opportunities. They want to try and dive at the inside too many times here, really. kind of want to let the mistake happen from Lona in front, and actually it nearly did. At this stage here, Siggy, just stay behind, just keep putting the pressure on, and he will break eventually. If you keep hitting the perfect apexes, perfect braking zones, where he has to be perfect himself, he will make a mistake at the end of the day, because it's not just about the car and the driver. You've got the tyres to be worried about here as well, and they will be different lap in, lap out, so we'll get it wrong by just a couple of meters, and ultimately we'll end up missing an apex that will open. That's where you take your opportunity. If you want to go out there and win the race, which you alluded to earlier, Connery, these drivers do not have an off button, which is every sim racer at the top level. They will just be looking to win every single race. Yeah, he really does probably need to get a move on with it. Now, you can see next to their name, ladies and gentlemen, there's a red box with a little white circle. When that goes green, then you know that they've done their mandatory pit stop. We know that the bottom three here, 23rd, 4th, and 5th, they will not be serving that during this race, but everyone else will have to. If they don't, they will be DQ'd here. So that is the mandatory pit stop. The window is open for 30 minutes. Still, the front three are as they were. Looks like Pfeiffer's just dropping off ever so slightly. Is there the cause for him being the driver that comes in early?
Well, no one comes in on the first time of asking. Usually there's about one or two that decide to come in immediately as soon as the pit window opens, but not so right now. Everyone remaining out there at least one more lap amongst all of them. We might even see drivers just try to stretch it to the half-hour mark to split this race in two. Some decide to try and keep it out there for as long as possible in the first stint, and then try and make a charge with the field in the second stint with the fresher tyres compared to everyone else. There's lots of things that you can, well, factor in to your decision here. That will then give you your game plan for the end of the race, but no one coming in the first time I'm asking. We'll see if anyone comes in the second time by pit lane while this pit window is open. And, well, it might be crucial as far as this top grouping is concerned, when and where these drivers come down and in, because the first one that does potentially might have a decent undercut. I'm having a look at the lap times right now. So as you see Villucci come across the line, he did a 1:28.3. Well, rounding it up, 1:28.4 that last time around. His best lap is a 1:28.4. And in fact, that was his best lap just now. So it seems like the tyre drop-offs, at least on the Ferraris, looking absolutely fine.
Yeah, and we saw them really come into play during the second half of the first race. And if you're the BMW right now, it's just, you're not in the worst position. You're being towed by a Ferrari. You've got a Ferrari behind you, kind of in the meat of the sandwich as it stands. Again, Siggy not quite close enough to make the dive. I think he'll make it look like he's going to again, and he doesn't even do that this time. But for me, yeah, in a perfect position is Lona. It doesn't need to be too worried. As long as he can hang with Villucci's pace at this stage of the race, I think he's in a relatively good spot. The undercut here is for someone outside this top three, isn't it? Right now, if you're Siggy, you just mirror what Lona does. You don't really worry about anything too much. Again, there's no off button for these drivers, so you will potentially see moves being made left, right, and centre. As Mark Gasner being overtaken here by Ottaviani. Again, Ottaviani needs to, or sorry, Peter Pliska. It is Pliska, sorry. Ottaviani's a little bit further ahead than Ferrari. Pliska not able to get that job done in the AMG. Mark Gasner holds on to that position. Nice. I love to see that. Fair play. Pliska, again, not able to find that opportunity for himself in that Fordzilla livery. But Ottaviani, he's in the top 5 as it stands before the championship started. This is going to be a P8 and a P9 as it stands. Like, Ottaviani is in a lot of trouble unless he absolutely nails Portimao next week.
Yeah, this is certainly not the result that he would have been looking for, especially considering that, you know, we've got a Ferrari P1 and we've also got a Ferrari P3 as well. So it's not already all that much to do with the manufacturer that's factoring into this one for Ottaviani. We know he's at least as equally quick as Villucci is. I mean, we saw those two have a very good battle at the Norris Ring a little bit earlier on this season. So, you know, at least looking at that, you could say that they're very similar on pace, but one's P1, one's P9 at the moment.
Yeah, it's not ideal. It's as simple as that, really. It's Lona and Villucci, not Lona and Villucci, Lona and Siggy are absolutely battling here. And it's for the second time this race. Siggy on the outside towards this double left-hander, decided to go around the outside. He saw what happened to him in race number 1, got ushered out there wide. Again, I think it's his fault for putting himself in that position, really. But managed to get the overtakes done. From P6 up to P2 in race number 1. Can he go a bit better here and go up to P1. We're about to find out over the next 40 minutes. Who's going to be the first to blink here? Is anyone going to go, do you know what? I'm going to bring this bad boy in. I'm going to get those fresh tyres on. And I wanted to talk about the track position around here. Again, on the surface, this track looks like it's one of those tracks where it's easy to overtake. Slipstreaming, brake harder than the other guy on the inside, brake later, and you make the move. But we've seen that overtaking is very, very difficult around the Red Bull Ring, especially in GT cars. So is there the argument now in this top 6 that maybe you come in as early as you do now? If you come in now, and the lead cars, which we see from Lona and Siggy for the most part, they go at the 30-minute mark, you've got 10 minutes on them. Could you make up enough time with those fresh tyres to potentially put yourself in a decent position track-wise, and then just back up the pack?
I don't think we're seeing the significant drop-off in the tyres required for really that to be an opportunity. We'll see Kevin Siggy, though, dive down the inside at turn 4. Another attempt at Lona. Careful, go to the middle of the corner. Might have been a bit of door barging between those two.
Yeah, they absolutely are. You can almost high-five each other here. And Siggy has got an outside line here. I think he will try and stick it around the outside, and he will be ushered out wide once again. But no, Siggy decides to back out once again. And if you're going to make that move in towards 3, you've got to be miles ahead, as you can see. Just notice there the VRS logo on the Esports car now. That is also going to be part of Moritz Lerner's sponsor for the season in the DTM Trophy, actually. Saw that posted on Twitter last week. So congratulations to Moritz for finding a new sponsor. Congratulations to VRS for venturing into the world of DTM. Still, holding strong note is Moritz Lerner. Siggy is trying everything at this stage, trying to throw everything at him, especially the kitchen sink. But it's not working out. The one driver that's winning this, though, in terms of, well, not only winning the race, but he wins because of the battle behind him, is Gianmarco Villucci. And if Villucci can maybe gain another half a second here, although it just, look, you see Lona catching up in that slipstream, that would give the opportunity for Siggy to isolate the BMW, and that makes it so much easier for him, because right now he is getting a great tow down towards turn number 3. Again, if we maybe go on board with Kevin Siggy, but the BMW is equally getting a tow from the car in front. Down towards 3 we go again. Is he close enough? Well, he's going to go for it big time this time. He's gone very late on the brakes. That is, yeah, that is a naughty, naughty one. That'll be a case of, well, I think, would he give it back? You would like to think he gives it back here, otherwise he might be in trouble for, he's definitely giving it back, isn't he? No, he's going to hold it. No, he's giving it back. 100%. He'll let him go. He's let the nose of the car in front go ahead, and now he'll feel like he's let him go enough. And now you can see that Moritz Lerner is going to squeeze him onto the apex. Oh, contact between the two championship protagonists. Not quite going to work out in the favour of Kevin Siggy. But yeah, he went absolutely deep into turn number 3 there, and ultimately caused a little bit of contact. He gave back the position, which is great sportsmanship, but still think he wins. As Marko Pejic comes into the pits, first of our lead drivers, he actually led the race for a long part last week in the second race at Monza because of his pit strategy. He'll be looking to do the same here as well if he can get up into the lead. But yeah, I think this is not the worst thing in the world here for Siggy. As much as he's got cars now right up behind him, I just don't think Lona's going to get as much of a tow here, which does give Siggy the opportunity to indeed isolate him. He won't be worried about beating Villucci. If he can just beat Lona here, it's huge for his championship.
It is. It just increases the points delta, doesn't it? Even though he's fine finishing P3 in this race and certainly wouldn't complain at the end of it, he still wants to make sure he's padded that gap out with as many points as possible. Siggy getting the run down in towards turn 4 again, not committing down the inside this time around. The door was open, but not deciding not to do the complete send down into there. But all of this entire situation has allowed Villucci now to extend the gap at the front to 1 second at the moment. So that is getting towards the region where you start to break the draft towards those cars behind. So yeah, this is definitely working, all in Villucci's favour at the moment.
Yeah, Chan, Alan, yes, they will have to make a pit stop, bud. It's a mandatory pit stop. So if you see on the right-hand side of all of the drivers' names, there's a red box, and there's a couple of drivers at the bottom who've got green boxes. That means that they have to, well, that's a mandatory pit stop. So once it's red, that means they have not done it yet. Once it goes green, that means they have done it. So that is the mandatory pit stop. They have to change tyres in the pit as well. And this is RaceRoom, Alejandro. 4-star, how you doing, man? And Tommy, cheers for your compliments, man. Really appreciate it, but hopefully you guys are all well. So Max Pfeiffer here is looking to potentially get a run on the back of this Ferrari. But as it stands, not a good exit through turn number 1. Siggy, though, is, well, just dropped off the pace here of Lona. Lona's actually caught back up to Villucci. So Lona's just had an incredible lap, even though he didn't have any toe. And maybe I'm starting to think here that the toe's great and all, but maybe you lose a lot through the corners because Lona's caught that 1 second gap up by about 4/10 now. Very quickly indeed.
Yeah, there's a certain element of the draft giving you, of course, a benefit in terms of lap times, but you can't be too close to the car ahead of you because, you know, they might not be as fast through the corners as you are, especially if they're different manufacturers, for example. You know, and obviously there's a tiny effect of dirty air in these cars as well. Not as much, nowhere near as much as you would see in an open wheel F1 or F2 or F3 or whatever. But there's still a little element of that as well here. So we still see.
But if he's learned that the dirty air is not huge and there's none, obviously by being a second behind. Oh, you know, they all three made the decision. I was just about to say, does Moritz Lona make the decision here and go, do you know what? I will feel like I might be quicker on my own. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant because they've all three of the leaders come in here. I tell you what, the one driver here that's lost out is Villucci. Villucci's entry there was slower than Lona's. Lona's was so aggressive here. If he doesn't get a penalty, he is going to be absolutely golden here. He might even take the lead. So we'll see how exactly this goes down. We want to look at Villucci, really.
Yep.
Villucci's the car we want to be looking at. Where is Villucci in all of this? There he goes. He is. Well, that's Gasnut. No, that's. Oh, what? Is there a car inside? Oh,
yeah.
There's two cars inside each other, I think. Right, so again, there's going to be another Ferrari BMW baby born in 9 months' time. Congratulations. There's Villucci coming out the pits here. Where's Lona? There comes Siggy, and Lona is... Oh, Lona had the slowest stop. And he's just about going to come out ahead here of Kevin Siggy. The front three, as they came in, are going to be in the same order as they come out. Lona on the absolute limit. There with the rear stepping out, same as Kevin Siggy. Onto the power we go. These three are absolutely on it. And actually, the gap is pretty much exactly as it was. Opportunity, though, Max Pfeiffer. How quick can you be now on your own here with Florian Hasser in behind? Do they reciprocate straight away? Do they come in now? Do they give it at least a couple laps? I think if Pfeiffer wants to win this race, I think you've got to at least gamble and go and think you got the pace in a straight line on your own. But ultimately, if they want to just... Yeah, well, they're going to do what I don't think they should have done. And they come into the pits here. I think that they might be worthwhile. Just coming in a couple of laps later here and ultimately putting a little bit of pressure on the likes of Lona, the likes of Villucci, because they will know on their delta, because they've not come out behind them, that, oh, they haven't pit yet, so maybe they're really quick, and that means they've got to over-push a little bit. So I think you should have put them under a little bit of pressure here. But as it stands, looks like everybody's going on for the same strategy, pretty much splitting it 50-50. With the lighter fuel tank at the end of the race, kind of 35 minutes to go, it's more of a 50-50 in terms of time.
Yeah, I think that's a good call of the situation there, Luke. I would have liked to see those drivers continue to try and press out this first stint a little bit further, especially considering that the tyre life seems pretty good here at the Red Bull Ring, surprisingly. But here we go, across the line for these effective leaders.
Where's Pfeiffer? Where's Pfeiffer?
Where is Pfeiffer?
That's Adam Pinches. Where's Pfeiffer? Pfeiffer's coming out the pits. I know that for 100%.
Yeah, I'm having struggle finding him at the moment. There he is.
Oh, he does come out in fourth position here. And actually, it's Pajic, who came in a lot earlier, who's managed to snag a P5 here, although there is still Krippner to come in. So Krippner should filter in behind here as we do see a potential change for the lead. Lona's going to make a move for the inside line. Not quite going to work out. Now he's under a lot of pressure from behind here. So that move might indeed open the door here for Kevin Siggy. Down in towards turn number 3 we go. There is the Ferrari. A lovely view there of the rear wing of the DTM Esports BMW. Siggy, is he going to go for the move up the inside? He's not. He's going to try and force Lona to miss his apex. He has a little bit, not enough. And ultimately here, Siggy is going to have to wait to fly another day. Villucci under a lot of pressure. The front three were close before they came into the pits. Not this close, though. This is phenomenal stuff here. And Pfeiffer, tell you what, Pfeiffer, big opportunity here. These three are going to fight at some point. Can you put yourself in a position to take advantage if they do fight and end up off the circuit?
He's inside a second behind Siggy, so shouldn't have too much of a worry when it comes to maintaining the draft to the pack ahead of him. We've got yet more cars going down towards the pit lane. Pliska, Markovic, Keithley, all down and in at this stage of the event. in terms of drivers that have stayed out, Krippner is continuing out there. Maybe he's this lone Der esports cars that they've decided to put on the alternate strategy just to see what happens. You know, when you have as many cars in this series as Der esports do, you can afford to put one on a slightly different call than everyone else.
Yeah, 100%. I agree there, and it's a clever thing to do from Der esports. But again, they've got about 700 cars to use in this championship, apparently, judging what we saw in qualifying. As Lona goes for the move here for the lead of the race, then through turn number 2, and there it is, the door open for Kevin Siggy. Lona had to be perfect. He was not perfect. Villucci is going to hold on to the lead in this race, but as we come down in towards 3, Lona has got a hell of a run here as well, and he has to beat him. He has to beat Siggy here today. And unfortunately for Lona, it's not going to work out. Max Pfeiffer is now right within the front 3. You can cover the front 4 now with a loincloth there that close. Question from Alejandro, is RaceRoom good? I reckon it's the most underrated sim in the world of sim racing. I genuinely believe that. Its force feedback is incredible. There's lots of official series out there. Maybe the only thing that I would say it struggles with, maybe graphically, but it's an old game, an old engine. You expect that. But yeah, everything else is spot on. So yeah, you should absolutely give it a go, and it's free. You can go download it. There's a load of base content you can use as well. You should absolutely go out there and give it a go, see what you think of it. Plenty of cars out there to use as well. Quades, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well, mate, as well. Well, here we go. Halfway point. We're at the 30-minute mark here. Julian Fox is into the pits as well. Krippner, Price, and David Nagy are yet to come in. But as it stands then, Villucci is our net leader. He's currently 4th, but he's our net leader. We've then got indeed Siggy, Lona, and Pfeiffer as your top 4. We would expect Krippner to come in between Pfeiffer and indeed Pajic, but Pajic is very much closing up here. He came in a bit earlier. Ooh, interesting stuff.
Yeah, and it's great again to see the Mercedes doing so well in this race. You know, they haven't always been up there over this season. But you know, the more diversity in terms of manufacturers that we see at the very top of the order, the better, as far as I'm concerned. It just tells me that maybe the balance performance is working a little bit better than it has done on previous occasions. But for Pfeiffer, his task, remain in slipstream of Moritz Lona, and then potentially he might get himself a chance at the race win at the very end of the 29 minutes that we have left to run. We have a Ferrari in the race lead, well, effective race lead, BMW second, and Mercedes in 3rd. Wouldn't have it any other way.
No, absolutely not. This is going to be exciting here. Siggy will be ecstatic with how today has gone. He would actually, I think, on the face of it here, would have got exactly the same amount of points with Lerner, considering the difference in positions. Obviously, Lerner won race number 1, he comes 2nd, and now they're switched for 2nd and 3rd, but ultimately, Siggy performed better in qualifying, whereas Moritz Lerner didn't in race 2. So if anything, it might be Lerner gains 1 point, something like that. It's not going to be a lot, but ultimately, he had a 54-point advantage going into today. So right now, Moritz Lerner, who is in that BMW, we're on board with him right now, has to make this move. We know that the outside line here is very, very strong indeed. So if you can get the brakes nailed here, you will get excellent drive off of the corner. And there we go. We're seeing it here. The BMW, though, just slipped the rear ever so slightly, and ultimately it has to wait for another opportunity. Villucci in P1 or P4, P1 net leader of this race, is loving life right now. You boys crack on and keep battling. I don't care how long you battle for. I don't care which one of you finishes in 2nd. As long as you keep going side by side, it just means I can drive away and have a load of fun with my funky Fordzilla livery.
It is pretty funky. It is on my top 10 in terms of liveries. Let's just say
they changed it. This is last year's and the new one. Not a fan, I'm afraid. Like, I think they need to revert back off of my word.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there. I mean, the red line livery is also in my top 10 in liveries as well. But sim racing liveries, I think we touched on this on a broadcast we've done before at some point, Luke. But I think sim racing liveries are miles better than what you get in the real world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Ironically, though, not DTM. Like, DTM is the... Yeah, Pfeiffer's off. Well, yeah, that was a long way off there. That's not ideal. Would you see a potential move? No, Lerner's not close enough. Yeah, DTM is the exception to that rule, because DTM is still stuck in the 90s with their liveries. They have got every colour under the sun on that grid. There's 29 cars this season as well, Connery, in the DTM Championship. It is ridiculous. And yeah, if you didn't think the cars were colourful enough, you've got Nicky Tim, who will make up for that in his colour anyway. He's just that kind of guy. But yeah, honestly, the liveries, it is like it's 1994 in DTM. Every season they've got bright yellow ones, bright pink ones. They've got just all sorts, man. It's brilliant. But yeah, for the most part, in the real world, some of the liveries are, not very good. But again, you kind of stuck with what your sponsors and stuff want the car to look like. Although there's a McLaren in the British GT Championship that's sponsored by OnlyFans, it's pretty much getting everyone's attention at the moment. So it's not all cars.
We've got bright pink liveries as well from the Arnage guys. So
Exactly.
there we go. Every colour represented on these liveries.
Every colour's represented on the Fordzilla livery on its own.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, there was once upon a time where every sim racing livery was red and black, which is what the Red Lines has always been. So yeah, for Red Line. Actually, has Red Line? I don't think Red Line's actually been always red and black. I think they had some different ones in another competition on a different sim way back when.
They're orange and white.
It was the cyan. It was like the very teal blue ones that I remember. That they had.
They used to, when they used to race in the endurance events, you get teams like Team Red, you get team like Esports Team Blue and Esports Team Purple. But they actually used to make the cars purple. They were purple and black at one point as well. Actually, remember that? That was only last year. They've been orange and black. They've been orange and white. This is like the colors. Red, white, black, white trim. Basically, it's kind of their colors. But yeah, they've been multiple different colors. By the way, we have seen Kripner come into the pits and he's now P8. So not the best, unfortunately for him. Yeah, he's come up behind everybody as it stands. Yeah, not ideal. Isaac Price, the only driver yet to pit, which again gives us our mandatory Isaac Price leads the race.
Yeah, I hate to beat the dead horse with regards to always mentioning Isaac Price is the one that pushes out this first in. There were a couple of races in ADAC in particular that he actually wasn't the one that was pushing it out all the way and trying to come down in at the very end, but 95% of the time, he is. So Price doing Isaac Price things.
Yep, absolutely. And if it was a competition about who's led the most laps in this series, he'll be third in the championship, I think. Or maybe Kripner actually might be up there, but it'll be between Moritz Lohner, it'll be between Siggy, it'll be between Price and Kripner. But it's not about that, unfortunately. But Price still leads, and he'll probably stay out as long as he possibly can. He's got 9 minutes before he has to come into that pit stop. Kevin Siggy has dismantled Moritz Lohner. He's gone. Moritz Lohner is not not causing him a problem whatsoever anymore. And I thought that the Ferraris later on in the stint are going to be the stronger car, and they absolutely seem to be proving that to be the case here. Villucci needs a big result. P2 isn't going to be the worst result in the world. Would he love to be the fourth victor so far in the DTM Esports 2022 season? Absolutely. Would I want to see a fourth different winner? I'm not saying I've got any favourites, but come on, Villucci! Love to see a fourth different winner. Siggy, Lohner, Hergfeld are your three so far. Villucci, can he make it number 4?
I mean, I've certainly seen nothing to suggest that he couldn't. So, but the calculations...
I don't know, mate. There's a black and red livery in the back in his rearview mirror that says to me that he couldn't.
This is what I was about.
Kevin Siggy doing Kevin Siggy things, mate.
This is what I was about to touch on, though. The calculations have changed somewhat for Villucci because he's not been put on too many occasions into this situation so far, where he's having to defend for the remaining 23 minutes of this race. It's a tough ask for any driver to be able to do that. Price continuing on his long strategy, by the way. He still has not come down on towards the pit lane, so that BMW going to be run down to its rims in terms of tyres before it decides to come down in.
Yeah, Isaac Price just won't worry about that though. More laps led on the old laps led ticker. He's probably one of those. People have a subscribe account lights for their YouTube behind them in their setups, right? When someone subscribes to YouTube, it goes up one and stuff. He probably has that for laps led in his sim racing career. I'm not sure there's enough numbers in the world though for him. But yeah, he's probably got that in the background. It's just going up now to 1, 2, 3. So that's what Isaac Price has in his bedroom. So we've got Jamie Fluke, who's got all of the track maps in his bedroom. And we've got Isaac Price, who's got a laps led ticker in his bedroom. Facts.
I wish we could keep easy track of those sorts of things, because other esports have the luxury of, not being split across many different platforms, for one. And 2, they have a centralized sort of esports statistics website that they're able to keep track of everything. In terms of laps, well, not laps there, but whatever the relevant stats are for their esport. And we don't have that in sim racing. People have tried, don't get me wrong, but none of them have ever been as good as something like a HLTV for Counter-Strike or VLR for Valorant. Yeah, so, yeah, that's a gap in the market, whichever developer wants to do that.
Yeah, whichever developer wants to do that and probably make zero money from, get onto it. You never know. But Isaac Price is one of the top 10 in that for sure, that list. It's Kevin Siggy in behind Villucci. Villucci, again, will be looking for Price to go into the pit so then he can add to his lead laps for the day. In the background, you can see that Pfeiffer is struggling for pace as it stands. He's actually under a lot of pressure now from Pajic. The front three settled in nicely. And Lona, 20 minutes to go. Has he just taken a 10-minute breather here just to, I don't know, maybe cool his tyres down? Oh, that's a move. Yeah, I'm not going to get too excited about that, but Pajic just overtook Pfeiffer. Yep. It was an interesting one, to say the very least. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh today. I'm just not sure that was the cleanest of moves. Will Pfeiffer reciprocate here and do the same back to him down towards 3? He will not. So he decides against that. But the real winner in this situation is Asa Hafner closing up here, currently in P7. Isaac Price is finally into the pits, ladies and gentlemen. He will not be in the lead when he comes out. But yeah, we almost need to do a minute's applause for Price for leading the race. Congratulations to him in that. And he's always in these sim racing events. Fair play to him. Villucci then, with Siggy behind and Lona in third spot. They're about to take the lead as a group in this race. And will Siggy look to take another victory here? Or will Villucci look to become our fourth winner? And you know that Lona's just waiting for these two to battle side by side. He's lost the position because of himself battling Villucci. He knows that Villucci isn't going to make it easy. Although Villucci did make it easy in race number 1. I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen this time, though, Connery, considering this is for the win.
Yep, it is. And, well, we've got 3 parties involved in this one because, you know, like you said, you feared that Lona was sort of past his best in terms of this race with dropping back, but rising from the ashes and still involved in this fight. And now Siggy, again, a slight nose to the inside, just making sure Villucci knows he's there. You know, it causes the driver just to look in that right-hand wing mirror, just sort of, oh, isn't he? And sometimes it's that hesitation that then causes the mistake.
Yeah, 100% there. And you saw Lona just wasn't able to extend the track as well as the 2 Ferraris here. I'm not sure the BMWs are able to use the curbing as much. See, on entry there, no curb really being used. Lona just dropped completely off there. But as we come through here, he is using enough curb on entry. What about the exit curb here, where it's a bit more raised? No, he is using all of it there. It's the ones around the final couple of corners here, which will be telling here, as Lona struggling for grip at this stage of the race. Because if he's not able to use the exit curb properly through the final 2, that's kind of game over. It will become all about the front 2 Ferraris. It's as simple as that. So here we go then. We should get a nice little look at this. Yeah, he's just not able to get onto the curb as early as those 2. So I think Lona might be struggling here for grip. The Ferraris looking like they are the stronger of the 2 cars. And it seems like Sector 3 is really where the BMW struggles. Can he take full advantage of Sector 1 being the strength for the BMW? Through turn 1 we go. Still, Villucci leads the way. 0.3 of a second is the advantage here. And doing a sensational job. Has had a lot of attacks from Moritz Lona earlier on and diffused that situation beautifully well. And now he's up with Kevin Siggy, who again is very much like Moritz Lona, one of the very best in all of esports right now in terms of sim racing. Maybe they do other esports, I don't know. But in terms of sim racing, these two are, you know, right at the top of the tree. It's as simple as that. And can he potentially hold on to this P1? Siggy right up behind him, down towards 3. Not quite going to make the move here as we come through the middle part here at Red Bull Ring.
It's worth giving a shout out to everyone watching on Traction GG's YouTube channel at the moment. We haven't given you guys a shout out so far this season, so it's definitely worth telling that you are. There are multiple places to watch the English stream here on the DTM Esports Championship. We've got a good group of people in there, 84 people, fantastic stuff, and they've been having some chat going even without us, Luke. So they've been engaging quite well.
Oh wow, okay, I'm watching now. So if you guys wanna Let me know where you're watching from now, who you're supporting. I'll give you a shout out on stream. Sorry about that, I had no idea. 17 minutes left to go here. Still Villucci, who is absolutely smashing things right now, but he's only 0.2 of a second here, so Kevin Siggy, get on the brakes early. If we go on board with him, if he gets on the brakes early here and gets a punchy exit, this is where he can look to make that move. Is he that close? No, he's not. Villucci's pulled out that gap again. So Kevin Siggy may be starting to struggle here. Villucci is just dealing with the situation nicely.
Yeah, he really is, and it's been a very mature drive for him so far. Despite all of these looks to the inside that Siggy's giving him to pretty much every single braking zone, Villucci has not flinched at anything that Siggy's been able to throw at him so far. Still 16.5 minutes to go, though, so there's lots and lots of time for this to be decided. But yeah, I mean, I'm very optimistic about Villucci's performance so far here in this one. Of course, the front three have all done very, very well to get to where they are right now. The question remains, though, are they going to be the only three that are going to be fighting for the race lead at the end of this one? Because Pejich, Pfeiffer, Hasse, they could all gain ground, especially if they do start fighting at the front.
It's going to take one head of a ding-dong for those to catch up in the next 15 minutes, 50 seconds. But we have seen it happen before. I think that Pfeiffer and Pejich themselves battling might be what causes them not to have the most fun in terms of catching the front three. So I think it will be between these three here. I would love to see a couple more cars, but these three, it's just a case of they're not only quick as a three, they're lapping qualifying lap times, lap after lap after lap. It's just ridiculous. And this is, again, why they are at the top of the world in terms of sim racing. I think sim racing, you have to be more consistent than in the real world. You have to be more consistent in sim racing to be at the top than you do in the real world, in my honest opinion, I think. Siggy does finally go for the move here. Late lunge up the inside of turn number 2. He's going to try and squeeze Villucci out. And actually, as you can see there, left plenty of room on the exit, which meant that he got on the power a little bit too early. And actually, it's Siggy himself who lost the rear of the car. Lona not close enough to take full advantage. As we come down in towards turn number 3, Villucci lives to fight another day. 14 minutes, 50 seconds to go. Things are starting to get a little bit spicy here, Connery.
Yeah, that was the first swing from Siggy. It wasn't a potent one, but it was one that keeps Villucci on his toes. So now Villucci knows that when Siggy moves to the inside now, it's not a complete bluff every single time. So he's sort of the strategy here. You got to make your driver ahead of you second guess themselves in a lot of situations. That's the little advantage that you need to gain if you two are relatively equal on pace in any other circumstance. You need to sort of play the mind games a little bit. I hate the phrase mind games, but it is what it is. The psychological battle between the two, and you can sort of influence what other drivers do based on what you do.
Do you know what's worse than trying to make a move and it not working? Typing in a chat something irrelevant and getting a message timed out twice. I saw that in the Traction GG chat. Well done, mods. If this boring? You are royally wrong. This is incredible stuff. These are at the top level right now. Siggy is a little bit closer here, and he's a lot further up the inside. I tell you what, this might be a little bit of a different end to the story. Villucci gets a phenomenal exit through 2, but are they still side by side? No, they're not. So Villucci again lives to fight another day. Lona is closing up a little bit further behind as well. Again, around about 0.4 of a second behind. That's not far at all. And again, if Siggy keeps making these efforts to make the overtake, as Villucci actually runs wide here, I'm pretty sure Siggy is not going to go around the outside for the 5th time today. He will decide to just let that go. And I think the whole Pejich getting involved here is becoming a little bit more truer every lap we go. The gap around about 2 seconds, about 2.7 when you mentioned it earlier, Connery. I'll tell you what, I'm excited to see a potential 4-way battle, because if there's one driver who's got nothing to lose, it'll be Marco Pejich, because he is not battling for that top 5 in this championship, but he absolutely would love to get a race win here.
Yeah, get his hands dirty in this one. Why not? Let's get another driver involved in this front 3 fights. And, well, if Pejich can get himself involved with, then why not Pfeiffer? Why not Hasse? All the way down to 6th place. It could be those 6 cars involved in the race lead at the very end here, depending on the exact set of circumstances that we get. Siggy following closely up in towards turn number 1. He's been characteristically good through the traction zone out of turn 1, so he is able to get this run down in towards turn number 3. It's going to be another look this time around. Loner's a little bit closer behind this time around, so that's another factor that Siggy has to think about as he attempts to go to the inside. Villucci's blown the middle of the corner, though. That's not good.
No, it definitely is not. And again, it's normal service resumed, isn't it? As the front three, the gap now between... Oh, well, hold on. Hayich just disappeared.
Oh, no.
Hayich just absolutely disappeared here. Not too sure what's happened. Well, that's not ideal. It's where, here we go. Siggy is trying to make that move, gets pinched onto the apex. Told you it wasn't going to be as easy as it was in race one to get past Villucci. Villucci wants this race win. Moritz Lerner then ready to pounce like a panther in the background. I've got feelings in parts of my body I didn't even know existed, Connery. Oh, this is going to be a grandstand finish.
Yeah, I think so too. This is shaping up to be one for the record books in the DTM Esports Championship. We had a fantastic finish here last season as well, with Moritz Lerner pulling off the late race passes to try and clinch the championship in that one. So, yeah, this track does have history in the DTM Esports Championship, and we might be on for another crazy finish for the race win at the end of this one. Maybe it's a little bit too early to speak at 11 minutes to go, but the time does go away very quickly when you're having fun.
Yeah, 100% there. I just saw someone in the chat saying they might have missed the crash. No, I literally witnessed Payich disappear like it was a Harry Potter film. He was gone.
Yeah.
I have no idea what happened there. It was a kind of chuck the blanket in front of yourself and then disappear in front of your dog to watch them panic for 20 minutes. Yeah, he just disappeared. He's gone. Right now, again, move being made here. Siggy trying to figure out how late he can brake without punting before Zilla car to the moon. And right now, it looks like he might have got it perfectly here. Has he got that overlap? He has for the first time. The long run then down in towards turn number 3, and he doesn't. So ultimately, Villucci then gets straight across the bonnet, goes into ultra defensive mode. If you play FIFA, you know that is a horrendous mode to be behind. That's for sure. Moritz Lerner, though, again, just waiting for his opportunity, and I think he will pounce. I think he has to. But he has to get past Siggy. Realistically, if he wants to go ahead and win this championship, he wants to give himself the best opportunity. You see Siggy just closing up through the first of the left-handers in sector number 2, and just is anyone can win this race right now. I think Villucci deserves it 100%. With 10 minutes to go, tyre wear's a big factor. Krippner and Price having a battle by the looks of things as well, just a little bit further back. The P6, Keithley not really close enough, and actually the front 7 now separated by 6 seconds. So Price coming in late is actually giving him a decent track position because he wasn't battling with anybody. So yeah, all of a sudden, yeah, look how close this is. So Isaac Price here looking for a top 5. Of course, big mistake there from Krippner. He ends up the wrong side. Well, that might have been on purpose there as he zigzags his way, trying to break that slipstream up towards turn number 1. 9 minutes 30 seconds to go. Not sure my heart's going to be able to take this finale here, but half a second separating the front 3, Connery. It is anybody's race as it stands.
It really, really is. And Villucci continuing to get the lead laps logged as Siggy sticks it down the inside. Another attempt from the Team Redline Ferrari as Villucci pushes all the way wide. It might be as Villucci loses the race lead. Siggy gets it done. And what can Moritz Lerner do?
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate for Villucci. There's no contact or anything. He's just run out of defensive capability, I'm afraid there. His tyres are going to be really hot as well. It's a phenomenal effort by Siggy. But he'd been teeing up 4 or 5 laps in advance, hadn't he? Every single lap trying to figure out, can he go half a metre later on the brakes? He found the absolute optimum mark to brake. He went on the brakes late, caught Villucci off guard, if we're going to be honest there. Villucci then was too busy looking in his mirrors, I would say, to then figure out where he's got a brake. Runs out slightly wide. Looks like he didn't get a slowdown, in all fairness, because he's not dropped off of Siggy considerably here. But this is massive for the championship here. Siggy could have one hand on the trophy if it finishes just like this.
He could have, and, well, we'll have to work out the points delta at the very end. But he might not even need to race at Portimao to take the championship, but we'll have a look at that. But 8 minutes left to go in this one. Villucci, he didn't actually get a slowdown penalty from the pushing all that wide through turn number 1. So, you know, he remains in P2, doesn't lose the position to Lerner, doesn't, most importantly, fall off the pack for the race lead. So this one is not over. Siggy now, the roles have been reversed. Siggy on the defensive. Let's see what Villucci can do on attack.
Yeah, well, Villucci right now has led too much of this race now to give this up easily. He needs to throw absolutely everything at this. He knows that even if he loses a couple of positions, a good top 5 is going to be good enough for him. Doesn't need to be worried about things too much here. So just go out there, give it everything, potentially make the move. If you finish P3, you finish P3. It is what it is, but go for that race victory. The only problem for him is he's got maybe pound for pound sim racer in the world right now. Kevin Siggy in front of him. in the same car. It's such a tough task here. Villucci's done so well. For me, driver of the day, 100%. Maybe between him and Max Pfeiffer, actually. But yeah, can he go out there and go one better than where he is right now? I'm not sure he can. I just think Kevin Siggy's got a little bit too much for him today, unfortunately. But to lead that far into the race, what, 50 minutes of race he pretty much led, to have it go to dust like that because you just outbrake yourself ever so slightly. Oh, it's got to be absolutely gut-wrenching for him. The one thing for me is that Maurice Lohner hasn't really, as much as I was thinking, oh, he might be saving tyres earlier on, hasn't really put any pressure on in this fight for the front three. So that's one surprising factor here. And with 6 minutes 40 to go, if you've left tyres, this is where you start to utilise it. I just don't think the BMW's got anything left to give.
Yeah, I think that's the case at this point. Lohner, particularly quick through that early part of the stint, but right now, well, he's not struggling to hold on to these two at the front. He is doing that in a relatively comfortable fashion. It's just that he can't get any more performance out of that BMW to give Villucci something to think about, for example. Because right now, it's just 1v1 me mid between Siggy and Villucci at the moment, and Lohner can't do anything.
Yeah, it's 1v1 me at Rust as it stands right now.
Oh, I like how you went for the Call of Duty. I went for the Counter-Strike. So there we go.
Yeah, well there you go. You know, one's got an MP40 and one's got an M4. You know, who's going to come out on top? As it stands, the M4 is looking very, very strong there with Kevin Siggy, but the MP40 is obviously very good at close range, so we are in very close proximity between the two. Who's going to come out top? Looks like Villucci is absolutely going to give this a last hurrah. 5 minutes 30 seconds left on the clock. It is becoming a Ferrari versus Ferrari battle. Will it be the number 11? Will it be the number 46 here? Be interested to see how close Villucci can get through this final corner. Uses so much curve there, loses the front of the car, and now he's going to be under pressure from that BMW. So, in all fairness, though, I don't think that's the worst thing that could have happened for him here. He can close up through turn number 1, whereas normally if you're too close, you ultimately have to brake a little bit earlier and try and punch out the exit. Now you can do both. You can brake late and punch out, and he absolutely has here. He uses all that sausage curb, and now you'll see them close up once again. We're on board then. We're inside the car here. You can see that camera. We're looking backwards at the BMW. Up towards turn number 2 we will go. Look at this into the higher gears where the slipstream becomes massively more pronounced. Over the curbing we will go here, and it's all about getting that car rotated, but also getting that power down without losing the rear. A bit snaky there from Villucci. They're dropping the BMW now, no problem whatsoever. A bit patient here, not really close enough to make an opportunity for himself down in towards 3. Realistically now, it's all about just sticking behind you. If you think you make a mistake, get offline, absolutely do so. But stay close enough behind, get that pressure up into turn number 1, and try and get that move into turn 2 done.
Yeah, that might just be the plan of action inside the final 5 minutes. This has been great to see amongst these guys. The two Ferraris at the front completely demolishing my prediction at the start of the race, but I don't really mind because it's gifted us racing like this. My prediction could still come true if this all ends in tears between Siggy and Villucci and Lohner comes through to take the double race win. That's the one way that can happen for me, but not looking likely at the moment. And Villucci just dropping off back about 1/10 of a second through that middle sector into the final couple of corners, but still in contention, still there.
Florian Hasse, currently 3rd in the championship, is 5th. He's putting pressure on Max Pfeiffer. Max Pfeiffer not battling for the top 5 in the championship. It's also nothing to lose. He will absolutely battle with everything he has left in that AMG. It really is all about the front 3 as it stands. But let's have a look at the full listings here. Siggy, P1, Villucci, then Lohner. We've got then Max Pfeiffer. Again, my driver of the day for sure. Florian Hasse is in 5th position. We've then got Isaac Price in P6. We've got Leonard Krippner in 7th. We've got Jack Keithley in 8th. We've got Ottaviani, who might be under a bit of pressure here to be still in the top 5. We'll find out at the end of the stream, of course. Mark Gassner is in P10. We've got Raschel in P11. Pliska, Pinches, and Nagy is your top 14. There's always a Hungarian, and in this case, there's 2 with Pinches and Nagy. We've then got Rudinger, Hergfeld, and Hergfeld again. It's just been so unfortunate today, and he'll come back stronger. I'll tell you this right now. If there's one driver you should all keep in the back of your heads, it will be Christopher Hergfeld. He will be a world champion in sim racing at some point. I can guarantee it. Fox then, the only driver left of our wildcard drivers. And then we've got TX3 driver Axel Vermeulen then in P18, who will be our final finisher. Looks like Payich will be the first of our DNFs, where there will be 7 of them. Back up to the leaders then, 2 minutes 30 seconds left on the clock. So for my money here, it is 2 laps remaining of this race. And who will come out on top? Kevin Siggy has looked very strong since he got into the lead around about 8 minutes ago. but ultimately has Villucci saved the best till last. Lona not really close enough to make anything happen here, and again we're looking back on board with Siggy to Villucci, and Villucci is very, very close here. Of course, you know the Constantina effect. He's always going to pull away on the exit of a corner, but it's all about how early can the power go down for Villucci, and is he going to be able to close up towards turn number 2? He has closed up, both using lots of curb through turn number 2, and Villucci on the power very, very early, but again taking that very acute angle, which ultimately means that the power cannot be laid down as best as he wants to, but this is as close as he has been all day long to the back of that red line car. He's going to be forced to go around the outside if he wants to make a move here, but he's got to force now Siggy to be very sluggish on the exit. He is very sluggish on the exit here, but is there any opportunity for a fake move? Go out wide now and then dive it up the inside to the left here. He's not going to do it. He's going to opt for the outside line and actually sends him completely offline, and ultimately Siggy's going to gain another couple of tenths of a second here, and this is going to go down to the last lap here, but Siggy positioning that Ferrari in the perfect position each and every time.
Yeah, that was very, very well covered off there from Siggy. Villucci here, he had no really other option to go towards the outside there and try and make that one work, not once but twice. Once through turn 4, next one through a potential opportunity in towards turn 6. We haven't seen that work out too often though, as we head our way across the line. This is going to be the start of the final lap here, Luke. Just one more to go. Villucci gaining a lot of ground actually on the way up in towards turn number 1. Had a better run out of that final corner. This might still happen for the Italian.
It might do. He's definitely a lot closer than he was previously. I don't think he's going to be able to make a move into turn number 2. We will stay on board with this for the entirety of this final lap. There's a nice little battle though between... Oh no, there's a mistake here. Lona's going to be gifted a P2. How important is that going to be for the championship? Although the rejoin is not very good from Villucci, it has given him a clasping hope here of potentially retaking P2. I think just by the terrible rejoin there, he should just give up the spot anyway. He makes the mistake here, is not only going to cost him the chance of winning the race, but potentially that P2 on the podium. He's got the outside line though, as they go up towards the double left-hander here, and he has to stick it around the outside, but I'm just not too sure he's going to have any kind of grip. He's not. Lona is indeed going to hold on to P2. Lona is going to be over the moon in the cockpit of that BMW. He's been gifted a P2. Again, he needed to beat Siggy twice today, but if he was to get beat by him at all, well, P1 and P2 is not the worst way of being beaten here. Kevin Siggy will be looking at all of this in his rearview mirror, and he will be celebrating like there's no tomorrow. Siggy is about to be, well, extending his championship lead. He's about to take the checkered flag here. The Team Red Line driver will win race 10 of the DTM Esports 2022. And surprisingly, Moritz Lona does finish in second. Villucci is going to be absolutely gutted. It's a great performance from him and a finish for him in terms of getting that top 5 in the championship, but in terms of winning the race and becoming our 4th winner, he's going to be devastated with that result there. Pfeiffer does take P4, my driver of the day for sure. Hasser P5. We then got Isaac Price in P6, Krippner P7, Keithley P8, Ottaviani P9. Is that enough to keep him in the top 5? We will find out very, very shortly. And then we've got Gassner, who indeed finishes in that top 10. Oh, Connery. Drama on the final lap there, and we saw it, you know, a couple of times into turn 2. No one really was punted off the circuit. We've seen people miss their braking point, and at the most vital moment possible, Villucci loses the P2, the chance of maybe going up to P1, just by the smallest of errors.
I think there's an element of just him getting inside his own head there. His feet said he was going to go for that late lunge. His hands in his wheel said, oh, I'm just going to stay in line. And when you have that sort of mismatch, mistakes like that can happen. Just missing a braking point, out-braking yourself into the corner, pushing wide. And like you said at the time, the rejoin wasn't ideal. Trust me, I'm an expert. But Lona, takes that all day long. You just need to capitalize on every single opportunity whatsoever. If you're Moritz Lona, it's not going to be enough for him to try and do anything about Siggy's championship lead, but at least it gets him the P2 today.
Yeah, 100% there. And again, you know, we talk about Lona and Villucci a lot there. Got to hand it to Kevin Siggy. Kevin Siggy, against all odds, I would say today. Again, championship lead, you expect him to be right at the front there, but Moritz Lona had every help possible in qualifying today. He had 2 other teams helping his own team, trying to get him onto pole position. Again, as much as people will be like, oh, you shouldn't be mentioning that, I'm not going to treat the audience like they're stupid. We all saw exactly what was going down in qualifying, and he was handed it to him on a plate effectively. wasn't able to take advantage. Kevin Siggy, again, I say against all odds, he's one of the very best out there in the world. It was against all odds today. He absolutely deserves that victory there. He just did not give up. Congratulations to him. He will extend his championship lead going into the final 2 races at Portimao. And unless Moritz Lerner's got a couple of rabbits in a hat to pull out as a magician, it's going to be Kevin Siggy's championship. But remember, it is not just about the front driver. Of course, everybody wants to be a DTM Esports champion. Lerner wants to be a 2-time DTM Esports champion. But it is all about being in that top 5, because if you get in the top 5 at the end of the season, you then get invited to a DTM event this year where you are all judged across multiple challenges, and the winner will receive a full paid driver, well, I say driver experience, a full paid season in a DTM trophy. It's not just an experience where you get an hour on a track, a full paid season in a DTM trophy, which is an incredible, incredible prize. Well, I want to see exactly what the point standings are. But first of all, we're going to have a little message from our partners, because without them, we just would not have a competition. So we'll see you right after this break.
Auto Hero ist dein Online-Shop für Gebrauchtwagen. Wir verkaufen nur Autos aus unserem eigenen Bestand. Jedes ist von unseren Kfz-Experten general überholt und rundum aufbereitet. Und du erhältst 1 Jahr Garantie. So unbeschwert kann Autokauf sein. Finde jetzt dein Auto bei Auto Hero.
Watch me as I go. Should I look both ways before you cross me, babe? 'Cause I don't break for boys. I'm moving on. So sad, let's be on my way. Best of luck. I'm moving on. I'm moving on.
Wow, what a phenomenal set of races we've had today here at the Red Bull Ring. And well, we've still got 2 more races to go. So that is the finale next Thursday. Again, great to see people over on Attraction GG channel really enjoy what we've just seen there. So yeah, good to see. We'll be back next week. So that is on the 28th of April at Portimao. Right, let's check out the championship standings then, as it is going into next week. And it is Kevin Siggy that leads the way there then by a cool 54, exactly the same as he came in, actually. 54 points, the same as he came in. So they both got exactly the same amount of points as each other today. So it goes into next week. And if they get exactly the same amount of points next week, then Siggy will be our champion. Siggy doesn't need to do a lot next week, really, to become champion. But, you know, Moritz Lerner still has to go out there and win 2 races and see what happens. Florian Hasse then is in 3rd spot. Gianmarco Fiducci is in 4th position there in the 222 points club. And he's still got Ottaviani there on 202. And that is the battle for the top 5. So I think Fiducci's pretty good here. He's done what he needed to do, albeit he'd be disappointed with not getting P1 in that race. But again, a really good performance to get that P3 and pretty much guarantee himself that top 5. Ottaviani in a bit of trouble here. Portimao needs a big result. Leonard Krippner is absolutely ready to take that position. And with DTM Esports being, you know, very good in terms of how they deliver as a team, they absolutely will be putting everything into Krippner getting into that top 5 and having 3 drivers at the sighting event this year. Well, there we go, Connery. That is the penultimate races of the season done and dusted. We head to Portimao next time out. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that, Connery, as much as I did. That was pretty frantic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it seems like the Red Bull Ring and DTM Esports go together very, very, very well indeed. So, you know, I hope it's on the calendar for next season, and we can have a lot of fun here as well. But our main focus now is forwards to 1 week's time at Portimao for the DTM Esports Championship finale. We have a good guess on what the result's going to be. They're going to be completely honest as regards to the championship, but of course the theme into that is going to be more who's going to get inside that top 5 to then compete for that DTM trophy drive. Because finishing in the championship as a championship winner, of course, is going to be a huge plus on your resume when it comes to that that decision-making event that the DTM guys will have to do. But you know, for the rest of those guys, getting inside the top 5 main aim of 1 week's time.
Absolutely. Well, make sure that you are subscribed to the DTM channel on YouTube because we will be live again next week, 6 p.m. BST, so that's the UK time, and 7 p.m. CET for the finale of the DTM Esports 2022.